My husband is the crown prince of Beijing's elite circle. When his cherished first love and I were kidnapped together, he chose her over me. I didn't dare voice any complaint, quietly enduring the kidnapper's torture as I waited for the timer on my body to reach zero. In our previous life, he received the ransom call and brought a full 100 million. But the kidnapper was a deranged serial killer who forced him to choose only one of us, because I was 5 months pregnant. He made the agonizing choice to save me. Su Wei was brutally tortured to death. When the police found her, she was unrecognizable. Afterward, he was overcome with remorse and pinned all the blame on me. If it weren't for you carrying the Song family's child, and our parents threatening suicide to pressure me into saving you, Su Wei would still be alive. He beat and berated me daily, causing me not only to miscarry but to live the rest of my life with a colostomy bag, an existence worse than death. My husband brought me to the river where Su Wei's remains were found, then pushed me in and left me to drown. In this life, I chose to stay and become the kidnapper's living doll, letting him have his way with Su Wei. The kidnapper tied Su Wei and me to chairs, then pulled out a sharp blade. The cold steel grazed my cheek as he snarled. Your billionaire husband ruined me, took everything I had and destroyed my family. If it weren't for him, I wouldn't be hunted by debt collectors today. When he gets here, only one of you will walk out alive. In a fit of rage, he slapped both Su Wei and me across the face, leaving our cheeks swollen and burning. Song Julie rushed over, only to find the kidnappers had also taken Su Wei captive. His heart ached at the sight of the injuries on her face. Su Wei wept pitifully. Brother Julie, save me. The kidnappers had strapped timed bombs to both of us with a 120-second countdown, leaving Song Julie very little time to think. On the phone, the elderly Song couple threatened to kill themselves, forcing him to prioritize saving me and our unborn child. Song Julie was the crown prince of Beijing's elite circles. The last thing he lacked was money. His eyes filled with contempt as he said, I can't comprehend resorting to kidnapping for a mere 100 million, but I'll take both of them. And I'll add another 500 million, more than enough to cover your debts. Despite his wealth, he underestimated how brutal the kidnappers would be. After being driven to bankruptcy by him, the kidnapper developed multiple personalities, becoming utterly inhuman when enraged and completely immune to bribery. President Song, 60 seconds left. Any more delays, and both of them will end up in body bags. Song Julie glanced helplessly at Su Wei, then turned to me with a displeased expression. Was this kidnapping orchestrated by you out of jealousy over Wei Wei? On the phone, it was clear my parents were the only ones who truly cared about me. They tearfully threatened to disinherit the family fortune unless Song Julie brought me back home safely. The kidnapper sneered at me mockingly. Looks like I've got myself a new partner. We'll split the take 50-50 after this job. Su Wei sobbed while accusing me. Lin Jing, I knew you had malicious intentions all along. I don't want to be blown to pieces. Brother Julie, save me. Song Julie glared at me venomously. Don't think carrying the Song family heir gives you free rein. I've always known you married into this family for our money. Tears welled up in both his and Su Wei's eyes as they gazed at each other, unable to embrace due to the kidnappers. I never expected to be reborn at such a difficult moment. In my previous life, after I was rescued, Su Wei was left alone to endure the kidnappers' torture and humiliation, ultimately locked in a cabinet and thrown into the river. I thought being the one chosen in that either-or situation was my second chance at life, but it turned out to be the beginning of the nightmare. Afterward, Song Julie was consumed with remorse, blaming me entirely for Su Wei's death and calling me a jinx. He drank heavily day after day, beating and berating me more viciously than ever. His abuse not only caused me to miscarry but also ruptured my intestines, leaving me permanently disabled. The wound on my back required stitches over 40 to 50 centimeters long, leaving an horribly disfiguring scar. I now have to live with a colostomy bag for the rest of my life. In the end, I still don't know what I did wrong. The real culprit was clearly the deranged kidnapper, or perhaps, it was Song Julie's arrogant behavior in business that invited enemies. I've never done anything to harm anyone, so why does he resent me? Since he never loved me, I might as well let them be together. I deliberately lied, saying, this isn't your child, and I don't love you either. Song Julie couldn't believe it. After all, I'd been his devoted follower for 10 years, always at his beck and call. Both Su Wei and I have the rare Rh-negative blood type, and at Song Julie's request, I'd essentially served as Su Wei's personal blood bank for 8 years. Lin Jing, how dare you betray me? He swallowed my lie without a second thought. while over the phone, I could hear my mother-in-law and father-in-law weeping with suspicion. Impossible, Lin Jing would never betray you. Mom, Dad, how can you still take her side at a time like this? Don't you realize your son's being made a cuckold? Before the elderly couple could retort, Song Julie hung up without hesitation. I choose Su Wei. Do whatever you want with Lin Jing, I don't care if you skin her alive. The kidnappers disarmed the bomb as agreed and released Su Wei. Song Julie considerately draped his suit jacket over her shoulders and swept her up in his arms. I watched them leave, left alone to face the brutal kidnappers, yet my heart remained strangely calm. The kidnapper grinned maliciously, extended the timer by another 60 seconds, and pressed the blade against my neck, deliberately tormenting me. Let's play a game. There are 3 wires, red, blue, and yellow. Only one will stop the countdown. You choose. I calmly chose blue. He gave a sinister sneer and turned to get the cutting tool. While the kidnapper was distracted, I leaped from the upper floor of the abandoned factory, taking the bomb with me as I fell. I thought hitting the ground would be a quick end, better than being tortured to death. Unfortunately, the impact was so violent that I crashed through the roof of Song Julie's Bugatti, slamming into the driver's seat as blood instantly splattered across the windows. With his arms around Su Wei, Song Julie turned ashen at the sight, completely paralyzed by shock. The police officers lying in ambush were all frozen for 3 seconds before they sprang into action. Song Julie watched his beloved car being stained with blood and said in disgust, "What awful luck, couldn't they have died somewhere else?" I did want to die somewhere else, that's why I played along as the kidnapper's human puppet for those few minutes. Little did I expect that he would still be lingering there, all lovey-dovey with Su Wei, refusing to leave. His close friend said, "Julie, do you have any idea how much Lin Jing has given you over the years? She practically poured her heart out for you, and yet you only care about Su Wei." Song Julie glared at him angrily. "What do you know? Lin Jing just kept insisting that the child she's carrying isn't mine. Why should I save her? You're defending her so fiercely. Could it be that you've been sneaking around with her behind my back?" It was bad enough that he was so heartless and ungrateful toward me, but to even suspect his own longtime friend, his cold, callous words were utterly heartbreaking. "Song Julie, I have a wife. Did it ever occur to you that Lin Jing lied on purpose because she didn't want to put you in a difficult position? Even your own parents don't believe it. Haven't you had any doubts?" Song Julie shrugged indifferently. "Since she's not your wife, don't worry about it. I need to take Wei Wei to the hospital for a checkup. Lend me your car for now." By then, the fake bomb on me had been disarmed by the bomb disposal experts, but my injuries were severe and I urgently needed to be taken to the hospital. His buddy said, "My sports car is fast, let's get Lin Jing to the hospital first." Song Julie didn't even glance at me, snatching the car keys from his close friend and even threatening him. "Over the years, your Lu family has profited plenty by leaning on the Song family. Don't force me to bankrupt your household." Young Master Lu's face turned pale, looking at my blood-soaked state with pity. "Any later, and Lin Jing will die." Song Julie didn't care. If she dies, that's her fate. Let her wait for the ambulance. Out of respect for his close friend, he chuckled. "Lin Jing is quite the actress. She doesn't deserve any sympathy. If she hadn't manipulated my mother to win the designer competition back then, Su Wei would be the chief designer now." After the competition, Wei Wei told me that Lin Jing's winning design was actually plagiarized from her. "She's a woman who'll stop at nothing to climb the social ladder, always scheming to marry into wealth. Who knows, maybe she even orchestrated this kidnapping herself. If I weren't so clear-headed, Wei Wei would be the victim right now. It's better if Lin Jing dies, at least she won't cause any more trouble." He carried Su Wei into the car and sped off in the sports car, leaving nothing but dust in his wake. The police pulled me out of the car and laid me on the ground for emergency treatment while we waited for the ambulance. In my dazed state, I could hear the roar of the sports car's engine and the commotion of the police arresting the kidnappers. The last glimmer of light in my eyes finally gave way to darkness. I'd been in love with Song Julie for 10 years, and our first encounter was at Fashion Week. That day happened to be my mother-in-law's fashion show. Before we got married, I was her student, her most prized protégé at the Design Institute. As the models twirled in their gowns, across that dazzling runway, Song Julie and I had eyes only for each other. We fell in love and got matching ring finger tattoos as a symbol of our eternal commitment. It wasn't until I saw Su Wei's face that I realized how strikingly similar we looked. That's when I knew, his one true love had returned. In my past life, discovering this truth shattered me. Consumed by heartbreak and betrayal, I confronted him while pregnant, demanding, "If you never loved me, why did you marry me?" Yet he said, "If it weren't for you being my mother's student and using that connection to climb the social ladder, you would never have become Mrs. Song." But I never forced him to marry me. He clearly acted so deeply in love with me. Was it all just a deception? Since I've been given another chance in this life, I think it's not too late to let go now. I just feel so sorry for my unborn child, who never got to see this world, unlike Sue, who just waited helplessly. I fought back and managed to survive this time. I weakly opened my eyes and could feel the metal plate in my leg and the support device around my waist. The doctor said, "Miss Lynn has multiple fractures and even some comminuted fractures throughout her body. She still has 2 more surgeries ahead, but thankfully she pulled through. She's incredibly lucky to be alive." My mother-in-law's eyes welled up with tears. "As long as you're alive, that's all that matters," seeing that I had woken up. My parents-in-law both came over to check on me. "Once we track down that good-for-nothing Song Julie, we'll make sure he comes to apologize to you." My voice was hoarse as I spoke. "Professor, don't say anything. I know you're carrying the Song family's heir. You lied because you didn't want to put Julie in a difficult position." Mother-in-law's voice trembled with emotion. "My dear child, you can always come to me when you're hurting." Her words rekindled my will to live. I had truly wanted to die, but not because I feared causing trouble for Song Julie. Mother-in-law took my hand. "Don't cry, Xing. There will be other children. I'll call Julie to come to the hospital right away." With just one phone call, the mother-in-law was scolding her son, but Song Julie couldn't have cared less. She didn't die. What a shame. The good die young, while the wicked live 1,000 years, for all we know. She orchestrated the kidnapping herself. I heard with my own ears the kidnappers got 100 million and were going to split it 50-50 with her. The mother-in-law was so enraged by his words that her blood pressure shot up, and she yelled furiously, "You heartless brat, you saw Xing fall from that great height with your own eyes. She suffered multiple fractures and broken bones all over her body, and you lost your child too, a miscarriage. Frankly, that'd be for the best. It's not like the child was mine anyway." The mother-in-law was so furious her heart raced. "You bastard, I knew you'd deny it. When the doctor removed the fetus, I specifically had them preserve the umbilical cord blood for a paternity test. It's confirmed, you are the biological father." This time, Song Julie didn't laugh. He finally grew serious. "Is that true? The child Lin Jing was carrying was really mine," my mother-in-law said with a pained expression. "It's absolutely true, but the baby is gone." Song Julie refused to believe it. She could fake a kidnapping. How could the baby just be gone? "You teamed up with Lin Jing to help her push Wei out, and you're deliberately lying to me, aren't you?" My mother-in-law looked at me with sympathy. "Come visit Xing at the hospital. She just lost the baby and needs comfort more than anyone right now." At the mention of showing concern for me, Song Julie responded with detached indifference. "Wei is still shaken from the kidnapping and her heart hasn't fully recovered. Tell Lin Jing to stop putting on an act. If she's truly carrying my child, she should stay home quietly instead of stirring up trouble everywhere." My mother-in-law tried to say more, but Song Julie had already ended the call. My father-in-law was also furious. "Xing, we've spoiled Julie rotten. When he comes home, I'll make sure he kneels in the ancestral hall to atone for his sins." My mother-in-law let out a soft sigh and took my hand, intending to slip the family heirloom bracelet onto my wrist. It was only then that she noticed my wrist was fractured and still in a cast. "I'm sorry, Xing. You are my most accomplished student and my favorite daughter-in-law. That Sue could never take your place. In this lifetime, I will only ever acknowledge you as my daughter-in-law. When Julie returns, we will give him a proper scolding. Please, just forgive him for this, alright?" Both before and after my rebirth, I never once considered forgiving Song Julie. The pain and trauma he inflicted on me could never be undone, even if I were to live my life over countless times. "Teacher, do you know why I've never called you Mom?" My mother-in-law froze, her eyes widening in surprise. I gave a pale, bitter smile. "Because you've always treated me as just a daughter-in-law. If it were your own daughter who suffered such injustice, would you expect her to just brush it off with a smile?" My father-in-law tried to explain. The kidnappers were pure evil. Besides, the police were already lying in wait. It's not like my son was the one who started all this. I let out a bitter, helpless smile. The pain in my heart was something no one could possibly understand. In my past life, Sue was left behind with a bomb strapped to her. The police dared not approach. The kidnappers took her to a desolate place, where she was locked in a cabinet, tortured to death, and then thrown into a river. As for me, Song Julie took his anger out on me. I was beaten beyond recognition and then drowned alive. This time, faced with a situation where death seemed the only outcome, I chose to jump from the building. Surviving was entirely unexpected. If you both visit the police station to learn the full story of this case, you'll realize the kidnapping is connected to Song Julie. My in-laws fell silent. I don't know what strings my mother-in-law pulled, but that very afternoon, Song Julie came to the hospital to see me. He sauntered in lazily, holding a bouquet of chrysanthemums, paying a visit in name, but it felt more like attending a funeral. It turns out that no matter what choice I made, Song Julie had already developed a deep-seated hatred for me. Not only did I look awful, but my mother-in-law's expression was even more unpleasant. What kind of flowers did this child send? Sue suddenly appeared from behind Song Julie, cautiously sizing up the situation. Why is Sister Jingjing upset? Is it because of me? Before I could even say anything, Song Julie jumped to her defense. I'm the one who wanted to give you chrysanthemums. Wei had nothing to do with it. If you've got a problem, take it up with me. Stop picking on her all the time. In my current state, I'm practically paralyzed. What could I possibly do to them anyway? Furious, his father grabbed an ashtray and hurled it at his shoulder. You brat, don't you know Jingjing had a miscarriage? She can't even walk now. And you deliberately sent chrysanthemums to upset her. Song Julie, nursing his shoulder, retorted defiantly. Mom, Dad, how much did she pay you to put on this act with her? Enraged, his mother slapped him across the face. Our family is the wealthiest in the city. Do we really need to put on an act with Lin Jing just for money? He covered his face and let out a cold laugh. You've all been completely brainwashed. In all my years, you've never laid a hand on me, Mom, especially you. If Lin Jing hadn't plagiarized Sue's work back then, Sue would be the head designer now, and you're actually defending Lin Jing. Song Julie's disgusting attitude made his parents so furious they were clutching their chests and gasping for air. That was my original creation. I worked tirelessly on it for 3 days and nights, and Sue almost stole it to submit for the competition. If it weren't for the studio surveillance footage as proof, I'd be in an impossible situation with no way to clear my name. Honestly, I don't care whether Song Julie believes me or not anymore. I had my best friend deliver the divorce papers. Sign it, I want a divorce. After reading it, Song Julie flew into a rage and threw the folder right in my face. Are you done yet? You've been putting on this act with my entire family, and now you want to take my child and divorce me over my dead body. He even went so far as to turn off my pain pump. Stop faking it. When you fell at the factory, you were still wearing a safety harness, weren't you? Just to get my attention, you staged a kidnapping to frame Sue, and now you're pulling this divorce stunt. What other tricks do you have up your sleeve? The moment the pain pump was switched off, the agony from my fractures hit me with twice the intensity. My face instantly turned pale, and I winced in pain. My best friend shoving him aside to call for the doctor. The doctor was speechless and scolded. If you have something to say, say it properly. The patient is severely injured. The pain is no less intense than childbirth. Removing the pain pump is practically a death sentence for her. I was sweating from the pain, veins bulging on my forehead, but Song Julie blinked, still unconvinced. Lin Jing, your acting is getting better and better. Disappointed. Overwhelming disappointment flooded my heart as the traumatic memory of being brutally beaten by Song Julie in my past life flashed through my mind. Trembling uncontrollably, I weakly cried out, "Divorce, I want a divorce." If it weren't for my best friend holding me up and giving me strength, I would have fainted from sheer anger. Fine, let's get divorced, but any child of the Song family must be born into the Song household. I really wanted to yell at him. Is he incapable of understanding plain language? The baby's gone, it's gone. I asked my best friend to pull back the covers, revealing an ugly scar across my abdomen, 2 pending surgeries, and legs swollen from shattered bones. The harsh reality was laid bare before him, brutal and unvarnished. Staring at my flat stomach, he shuddered and stumbled backward in disbelief. Impossible. My mother showed me the paternity test. That child is clearly mine. I said calmly. Your child is gone, let's get a divorce. Sue hid behind him, a smirk playing on her lips, but she quickly composed herself when she met her mother-in-law's gaze. Song Julie frowned in confusion. That can't be. Did you jump from there on purpose just to get rid of my child so you could divorce me? That explanation was so ridiculous, even he didn't believe it himself. The fact that I went to such great lengths to avoid having a child proves I stopped loving him long ago. So Song Julie was suddenly torn, desperately hoping I'd give him an answer. Women today have the right to choose whether or not to have children. I don't need to risk permanent disability for something so trivial. Song Julie, you're so sharp in business. How can you not grasp such simple logic? Or have you been too busy sabotaging competitors and ruining families? Song Julie's expression instantly stiffened. The eunuch suddenly remembered something. What did you mean when you said you were making hundreds of millions every minute? After his father retired early and handed over the company to him, Song Julie employed one ruthless tactic after another, showing no mercy in crushing his competitors. This kidnapping we experienced was all thanks to Song Julie. They say all is fair in business, but Song Julie's cutthroat tactics are exceptionally vicious. He aggressively monopolizes markets, leaving even stock investors complaining bitterly. He averted his gaze and answered his father with silence. Always leave room for redemption. The Song family may be wealthy and influential, but that doesn't give you license to tarnish our reputation like this. You've nearly destroyed the goodwill our ancestors spent generations building. The old man gnashed his teeth, consumed by bitter regret. Song Julie lifted his chin defiantly, refusing to acknowledge any wrongdoing. Wasn't it mother who taught us, if you're not ruthless enough, you'll never secure your position? My mother-in-law glared. What did I ever teach you? How is this suddenly my fault? You shielded Lin Jing when she plagiarized Su Wei's designs and clawed her way to the top by any means necessary. Those honors rightfully belong to Su Wei. I'm just following your example, you insolent brat. My mother-in-law was furious. She had maintained a spotless reputation her entire life, completely untainted. Has this little hussy been whispering poison in your ear? You'd believe her over your own wife and mother. You'd slander your own family for her. Isn't that right? That blueprint was something Su Wei worked on for 3 straight days and nights. She even showed me her preliminary sketches. My voice was impaired, so my best friend spoke up for me. How could she possibly have preliminary sketches when Jingjing was working on those drawings? I brought her coffee for 3 consecutive days. I still have timestamped photos of her early drafts in my phone. What's more, there are security cameras in the studio. If young Master Song had bothered to check any of this, he wouldn't have jumped to conclusions based on hearsay. Su Wei flushed instantly, too mortified to offer any rebuttal. See for yourself. The mother-in-law directly sent him the studio surveillance footage from back then, casting a sidelong glance at Su Wei. Just in case certain people would spread rumors and cause trouble later, I kept many backups. After Song Julie finished watching, although he still defended her, his expression clearly began to waver. Even if that was Lin Jing's original work, how do you explain that she deliberately sent someone to secretly deliver an envelope to me, lying that Su Wei was dead, just to marry me? So that's why Song Julie fell for me at first sight. I looked just like his deceased White Moonlight. Now I get why he married me so readily, but I never sent him any letters, and I didn't even know Su Wei existed before she returned to the country. My father-in-law suddenly spoke up. I was the one who sent you those. Do you even know what she used to do for a living? Dad, don't slander Wei Wei. I've known her for years, and I know how kind-hearted she truly is. The mother-in-law sneered. Kind? She was running honey traps with her own uncle when she was young. If she hadn't met you, she'd never have quit that life. She just used all those seductive tricks she once employed on others, on you instead. Su Wei's prestigious degree is fake too. With her level of education, how dare she accuse Lin Jing of plagiarizing her? She doesn't even have a basic grasp of drafting fundamentals. With her true nature completely exposed, Su Wei's face turned deathly pale, utterly mortified. Song Julie stared at her in disbelief. Su Wei's eyes welled up with tears as she tugged at his suit sleeve, desperate to explain. Julie, it's not what you think. I never asked to be born into such a family. She was trying to weasel her way out of the situation, playing the victim card to gain sympathy. The mother-in-law had seen plenty of such hypocritical women before and remarked sarcastically, "You're not the only one with a difficult background. Jingjing grew up in an orphanage. Yet she never resorted to dirty money-making schemes like you. I'm truly shocked to find you among the hundreds of underprivileged students the Song family sponsored. Instead of using the funds for your education, you spent it all on designer clothes to chase after wealthy men, and even set up honey traps." Su Wei feigned heart palpitations, still attempting to rekindle Song Julie's affection. A flicker of anger ignited in Song Julie as he abruptly shook off her hand. "So you approached me treating me like your premium client, first making quick money through honey traps, and now aiming for a permanent solution." Su Wei actually grabbed the fruit knife from the table, pressed it against her own neck, ready to threaten suicide. She wept pitifully. Why are all of you siding with Lin Jing? I just want a better life. Is that so wrong? Song Julie, you were the one who kept professing your love for me back then. But the moment you heard I was dead, you turned around and married Lin Jing, even got her pregnant with your child, who hasn't made mistakes when they were young. How dare you use my past faults to question my love for you? Song Julie completely ignored her and came straight to my hospital bedside. Xing. She was the one who clouded my judgment back then. Thank goodness my parents opened my eyes to see her for who she really was. All these years, you're the only one who truly loved me. I've come to realize my feelings for you never faded. Please give me a chance to make things right. My leg may be broken, but I'm not blind. The lipstick stain on his white shirt completely gave away his empty promises. Sue threw down the knife, rushed over to him, and grabbed his collar. Through tears and rage, she exposed him. In the car earlier, you complimented my lips and deliberately had me leave a lipstick mark on your shirt. You said you wanted to infuriate Lin Jing. That jealous woman. Song Julie, you don't love anyone, you only love yourself. Now his lies were completely exposed, and the chrysanthemums on the nightstand seemed utterly ironic. Song Julie looked flustered, his evasive eyes betraying utter helplessness. Xing, I didn't. She was the one who seduced me. Just shut up. I finally snapped. If she seduced you and you took the bait, why don't you go die if she tells you to? Song Julie, I want a divorce. He looked at me with pitiful eyes, pleading. Xing, give me another chance. Are you still angry because I didn't choose you during the kidnapping? You know how vicious that kidnapper was, but I did call the police. In my previous life, if he hadn't recklessly alerted the police and caused such a commotion, the kidnapper wouldn't have been provoked into torturing Sue to death. This time, I barely escaped with my life by sheer luck. There is no greater sorrow than a heart that's grown cold. His words no longer stir any emotion in me. My disappointment in you didn't accumulate overnight. It built up day after day. Even without the kidnapping incident, I would have wanted a divorce. Song Julie, sobbing like a child who'd lost his candy, pleaded. Xing, you can't leave me. You're still unwell, but our Song family has money. I'll hire the best doctors for you. You will walk again. I'll wait for you. Money. I let out a cold laugh. In your eyes, everyone approaches you for money. From the very first time we met, you were convinced I was after your wealth. You pretended to be devoted, but you were just using me as a substitute for Sue. Now that she's standing right in front of you, you don't love her anymore. Heh, Sue was right. You only love yourself. Song Julie still blamed all the mistakes on Sue. No, it's all her fault. She's the one who bewitched me, not to be outdone. Sue blurted out all the details of their office affair and how Song Julie had scammed his colleagues. Overwhelmed by the chaos, I asked my best friend to kick them all out. My in-laws wept and refused to leave, wanting to stay and care for me to make up for Song Julie's wrongs. I could only sigh in resignation. Please, I'm begging you, I just need some peace and quiet. I blocked the entire Song family, with my best friend by my side. I finally completed the last 2 surgeries. But there's still a long road ahead before I can start rehabilitation. I've filed for divorce several times, but Song Julie firmly refuses to agree. Since I didn't want to see him, he started having roses delivered to me every single day. After all these years of marriage, he never even knew I had a pollen allergy. My best friend ended up tossing every bouquet straight into the trash. Young Master Song, raised in the lap of luxury, has no idea how to love someone. All I want now is a divorce. Song Julie dragged it out for 6 months, back and forth. Even when I entered the rehabilitation phase, he still refused to sign. He's been using his wealth to pressure the court. On one hand, he showers me with flowers and gifts, playing the part of a devoted lover with what he calls affection. Little does he know, the business rivals he ruined are sending me razor blades every day as threats. The news about the previous kidnapping and the divorce rumors I leaked were all suppressed from trending by his financial influence. He appears remorseful, yet his domineering and controlling nature hasn't softened in the slightest. Just when I thought I couldn't stand staying in the country any longer and was about to fly abroad with my best friend, Song Julie actually had an accident. My mother-in-law called me, saying that Sue flew into a rage out of humiliation and stabbed Song Julie to death with a knife. But strangely enough, on the day of Song Julie's funeral, he suddenly woke up, and the previous wounds were gone, but his personality had completely changed. The elderly couple felt both joy and sorrow, urging me not to divorce. They said Song Julie would surely turn over a new leaf after waking up this time. I couldn't help but wonder, Had Song Julie been reborn too? When he dropped to his knees at the entrance of my hospital room, I finally became certain he had indeed been reborn. Song Julie knows about the brutal beatings he inflicted on me, and the harm he caused both me and our baby. He finally understands the depth of my despair when I was trapped with no way out, why I lied saying the child wasn't his, and why I chose to jump from that high floor. Outside the door, Song Julie wept in remorse. Xing, I was wrong, this is all my fault. I truly don't want a divorce, I've made countless mistakes, but I've finally realized that you're the one I love most. Please give me a chance to make amends so you can see I've changed. Xing, come out and see me. Sitting in my wheelchair, my best friend wheeled me over to meet him. After 6 months apart, he looked weathered, with stubble framing his mouth and eyes full of hope and pleading. He knelt down beside my wheelchair. Xing, you finally agreed to see me, My gaze swept over him coldly, devoid of any lingering affection. Beaming with hope, he pleaded, give me another chance. I swear I'll be a proper husband to you in this lifetime. I suspect the kidnapping incident made him realize I've been reborn, but it's too late for any of that now. Xing, please don't leave me, let's not get divorced. No, I replied without hesitation. Song Julie remained on his knees, clutching the armrests of my wheelchair as he poured out his remorse. I've uncovered everything, Xing. Sue secretly returned to the country, scheming to take your place. She leaked my confidential business dealings to that kidnapper, deliberately provoking him. That's what triggered the entire incident. It was all her scheme. If I could go back to that day, I'd still choose to save you first. So this is what he calls remorse. So you admit to your underhanded dealings, to making enemies across the business world. Song Julie didn't expect that to be my concern. He paused for a moment before saying, Xing, those were all work matters. Society operates on the law of the jungle. Their incompetence is to blame, not my ruthlessness. I let out a bitter laugh. Young Master Song, born with a silver spoon in your mouth, of course you can stand at the pinnacle and call everyone else incompetent. Take me for example. If I were dealing with an ordinary person, I might have been divorced after 6 months of dragging it out, but with young Master Song, after half a year of struggle, the divorce papers vanished into thin air as if nothing had ever happened. I often feel powerless too. He suddenly pulled out the wind chime I'd given him long ago. Its clear, crisp sound was incredibly soothing. Xing, do you remember, when I injured my eyes and had them bandaged, you hung this by my bedside. You said, whenever I need you, just ring the chime. And you'll come to me right away. Tears streaming down his face, he said, you used to love me so much. Have you really forgotten all that? Yes, I loved him once, so I could endure all hardships to stay by his side, but in the end, I was the only one who loved him. I took the wind chime from his hand and smashed it to the ground without a hint of mercy. The ceramic shattered into pieces, scattering everywhere, and with that, the timeline of our relationship came to a complete and final end. Young Master Song, you'd better sign the divorce papers sooner rather than later. Delaying won't change my mind. While I don't want us to part on bad terms, I also don't want things to get completely ugly. After all, my teacher and father-in-law are reasonable people. They've just spoiled their only son too much. I turned my wheelchair around and went back to the hospital room, refusing to see him from that day forward. My best friend saw through the peephole that Song Julie was apologizing while slapping his own face. I sat on the windowsill basking in the sun and calmly replied, don't feel sorry for him. Before long, a crowd had gathered outside the rehabilitation ward's corridor, while his kidnapping and divorce never made headlines. The gossip about the young master of the Song family kneeling outside his wife's hospital room and slapping his own face in apology shot to the top of trending searches within 5 minutes. The entire internet was praising him as the perfect husband, with posts glorifying him as the devoted CEO flooding every platform. Only I truly know how his dominance and brutality are stark realities. Stripped of any fictional glamour, I will never forget the horror of him kicking me while I was pregnant, causing massive bleeding, and the wretched existence of living with a colostomy bag. I have to take this gamble, even if it fails domestically. I'll go abroad and dredge up every scandal he suppressed. One by one, I approached journalists again to break the news about the kidnapping and divorce. I thought Song Julie had truly reformed after his rebirth, but this latest expose has vanished without a trace yet again. Only his posts crafting that devoted lover persona remain pinned to the top of every major platform's charts. The comment section only shows one side of the coin, completely skewed toward urging me to forgive him, saying a man so devoted, handsome, And wealthy is a rare find these days. Now I've seen firsthand how the Song family throws its weight around. They've even blocked every avenue I have to speak the truth. He's trying to use public opinion to guilt-trip me into forgiving him, finally. On the third day of his apologies outside Song Julie's hospital room, I called my mother-in-law. I'll reconsider the divorce, but please convince him to stop coming every day. I've received his apology. My feigned compromise was what finally allowed my best friend and me to escape abroad. This time, I finally have a platform to speak out. I've laid everything bare, the full story behind the kidnapping incident and the divorce. Many companies previously harmed by Song Julie seized the momentum and helped spread the news back home. Despite several obstacles, the information eventually went viral. The same netizens who once envied me for my devoted CEO husband are now feeling nothing but pity for me. The comment section is once again flooded with hate directed at him. His devoted persona was all an act. He's using his family's wealth and power to trap her in this marriage. Exactly. No wonder the scumbag is drawn to that homewrecker. He and Sue deserve each other. Bet you didn't know. Sue killed the Song family's eldest son after her unrequited love, and then the guy supposedly came back to life at his own funeral. The whole scandal got scrubbed from trending topics. TSK, the upper crust really is a circus. As a novelist, I can't help wondering, what if young Master Song actually reincarnated at his funeral, had a sudden change of heart overnight, and went to his wife's hospital room to beg for forgiveness? I can't take on the Song family alone. My only leverage is public opinion. The Song family isn't untouchable. Higher authorities caught wind of them quickly. They've already invited Song Julie for some tea. He was only released after the Song group paid a massive fine for alleged illegal monopolistic practices. Song Julie had no choice but to compromise, with his movements restricted within the country and no access to my new number. Email was his only way to reach me. Lin Jin, I agree to the divorce. Stop leaking information online. Send me your address so I can mail you the divorce papers. Of course I wouldn't give him my address. Who knows if young Master Song would seek revenge. I've already signed it. Just fax it back after you've signed. No need for any extra hassle. My detached reply prompted Song Julie to ask involuntarily, Xing, are you really that afraid of me? I've truly changed. I won't treat you like before. Is it really so difficult to just exchange contact information? After receiving the faxed divorce agreement, I stopped responding to his messages. My best friend and I have chosen to live abroad for the time being, and a friend from back home brought us some news. They said Sue was convicted of intentional homicide, and not long after she was imprisoned, she was found to be pregnant. She even tried to use the child as leverage against the Song family to get herself bailed out, but Song Julie took the most extreme approach. While Sue was out on medical parole, he stabbed her in the stomach with a knife, plunging it 17 times in retaliation for the time she had stabbed and injured him. The adult and child died instantly. Song Julie, driving his sports car, thought he could evade legal consequences by leveraging his family's influence. The elderly Song couple were reasonable and showed no favoritism. My former mother-in-law, whom I now simply call teacher, standing before the media, my teacher wept with regret, saying, our Song family disowned such a monstrous son. We've always lived with kindness, and through generations of hard work, Song Group became an industry leader. Once the police apprehend him, handle him as you see fit. We will not interfere with the sentencing. Song Julie went from carefree playboy to fugitive criminal. Seeing that even his own parents had abandoned him, he came to the riverbank where he had pushed me to my death in a previous life. Sighing at the unpredictability of life, he got back into his car, stepped on the gas, and drove straight into the river. I didn't learn of Song Julie's death until a month later. That day, I could finally stand and walk again. My best friend and I were celebrating at a restaurant. Would I mourn Song Julie's death? When I think back on all the extreme suffering I endured, I feel his departure is something I should be grateful for. Only with him gone could I dare to return to my homeland. And, story 2, in my previous life, my younger sister was adopted by a wealthy man, and I was taken home as a child bride. Later, my younger sister jumped off a tall building, while I blossomed out of the darkness. My younger sister smiled and said, elder sister, if it were you, you definitely wouldn't have lived your life so miserably, right? Reborn in a new life. My younger sister and I exchanged our lives. I am the shining sun in the daytime, and my younger sister is the evil spirit crawling in the dark night. We never looked back even once and moved forward alternately. 1. I was reborn on the day when my younger sister was adopted at the age of 5. This time, my clever and lively younger sister behaved in a very unmannered way. She even shouted that she was going to be rich, which made Mrs. Shin frown. Instead, she chose me, who was quiet and composed. My younger sister and I exchanged a glance. I saw the sly smile in her eyes, and I knew that my younger sister was also reborn. My younger sister and I are fraternal twins. In the previous life, my younger sister was favored by the Shin family. The Shin family is a wealthy family in Guangqing. When my younger sister left, she looked at me with her big eyes and said, "Elder sister, I will come to find you." But later I never saw my younger sister again. As for me, I was adopted by an ordinary family. Because their son was mentally disabled, they wanted to raise me so that I could marry their son in the future. I grew up being beaten and scolded. I studied desperately and told them that I would achieve great success and bring them more benefits. Amidst bullying and humiliation, I was admitted to a top university and then passed the civil service examination. My younger sister, who had entered the wealthy family, became infamous and jumped off a tall building. Before she died, my younger sister sent me a message, "I'm so unwilling." If it were elder sister who was adopted by the Shin family, she definitely wouldn't have ended up like this. 2 minutes later, 5 million yuan was added to my bank card. That was the inheritance my younger sister transferred to me. Unfortunately, before I could enjoy the inheritance left by my younger sister, a few days later, the stupid son of my adoptive parents rushed out and stabbed me to death. When I regained consciousness, I was back at the age of 5. 2. I went to the Shin family and changed my name to Shin Wandi. I had my own room, parents, and a brother named Shin Qianqian. On the first day of having a meal in the Shin family, I accidentally dropped and broke a bowl. I was already mentally prepared to be beaten. Neither the expected beating nor scolding came. Instead, I received concern, asking if I had cut my hand. For the first time, I knew that it was possible to break a bowl without being beaten. The new home had everything. My father was rarely at home, and my mother didn't care about me either. There were servants to do the housework and nannies to play with me and Shin Qianqian. If it weren't for my younger sister's death reminding me, I would almost have indulged in this luxurious happiness. Shin Qianqian was in poor health. The fortune teller told Mr. and Mrs. Shin to adopt a girl from the orphanage to be his younger sister, so that he would be healthy and everything would go smoothly in the future. It turned out that this was the reason why the Shin family adopted an orphan. Shin Qianqian was a man of few words and seemed a bit gloomy. I wasn't an outgoing person either, so we weren't familiar with each other. Strictly speaking, I was like an outsider living in the Shin family. However, I enjoyed the best of everything, and I was very grateful. After entering junior high school, Shin Qianqian's health had improved a lot, and his personality had also changed a bit. We were in the same school, but we were like strangers, and no one knew our relationship. I didn't lack anything, but I didn't have money. I went home for both accommodation and meals, and I didn't find a chance to go back to the town to see my younger sister. After entering high school, I realized that the malice I had encountered in this life was different from the malice I had experienced in the town in my previous life. The malice in junior high school was also different from that in high school. The malice encountered in this life was more arrogant, impenetrable. Like the madness under the surging dark current, the common point was that it was all deadly. However, I finally had a chance to go and find my younger sister. 3. Don't think that just because you have good grades, Shin Qianqian will take a fancy to you, a bookworm like you. How could you possibly win his favor? Who are you pretending to be so high and mighty for? Who doesn't know that you're secretly flirting with Shin Qianqian, bitch? Several girls blocked me in the toilet, pulled my hair, and warned me not to have any more contact with Shin Qianqian. I pulled back my hair and calmly stated, Shin Qianqian is my elder brother. We live under the same roof. They were stunned. Although I also had the surname Shin Qianqian, and I really didn't look like siblings, I continued, I've always had good grades since I was a child. My parents love me very much. I don't want to be gossiped about and just want to study hard. That's why I pretended not to know my elder brother at school. My elder brother doesn't like people who bully others, and my parents like them even less. If you don't believe what I said, you can check for yourself. I walked out of the ladies' toilet unharmed. During the lunch break that day, however, I was called over by Shin Qianqian's lackey. Shin Qianqian asked me with a look of impatience, why did you tell others about the relationship between me and you? Because of your existence. I'm being bullied. Your admirers think that I like you. There was a playful glint in Shin Qianqian's eyes. and his expression was slightly mocking, as if he was saying, "Don't I like him?" I looked straight into Shin Qianqian's eyes and said calmly, "I also don't want the person I like to misunderstand." Shin Qianqian's expression changed slightly, and then he let out a soft laugh. "The person you like, who is it?" I looked serious and said firmly, "Yun Zhijing." Shin Qianqian's expression became even uglier. At this moment, a soft laugh suddenly came from behind. "What does Wandi like about me? I'm truly flattered." For Yun Zhijing is Shin Qianqian's friend. In the previous life, he was also the closest person to my younger sister. When I was being ostracized and isolated at school, Yun Zhijing appeared by my side, just like the warm spring sun and the gentle summer evening breeze. I understood why my younger sister was so desperate that she jumped off the building in the end. My younger sister had a lively and straightforward personality and was also easy to open up to others. In other words, she was more likely to be deceived. When my younger sister died, she was the mistress kept by Yun Zhijing. The day before she jumped off the building was exactly the day when Yun Zhijing got married. They said that my younger sister had always been restless. After entering the Shin family, she was too ambitious and tried her best to please Mr. and Mrs. Shin. Later, she even had the audacity to flirt with young Master Shin. After being thrown out of the room by young Master Shin, the Shin family despised her extremely, yet she still dreamed of marrying into a wealthy family and instead climbed into the bed of Shin Qianqian's childhood friend, Yun Zhijing. After being with Yun Zhijing for 3 years, she originally thought she could become his legitimate wife. However, her dream of entering a wealthy family was shattered again, so, unable to bear the stimulation, she jumped off the building. Those who play with others' true feelings should be prepared that one day they will be played with by others. Shin Qianqian's angry voice brought me back to my senses. "How old are you? Do you know what it means to like someone? Study hard for me. If you dare to have a puppy love, I'll break your legs." Qianqian is so domineering. Don't scare our little Wandi. I secretly glanced at Yun Zhijing and blushed, and Shin Qianqian walked away with a sullen face. After I publicly revealed my relationship with Shin Qianqian didn't deny it. The malice and ostracism that surrounded me seemed to disappear. 5. After entering high school, I got my living expenses and lived in the school dormitory, gaining some freedom. One day, I asked for a day off and planned to go and find my younger sister. I found my younger sister in an alley near the county high school. She was holding an iron rod in her hand, there was blood on her face, and she was stepping on a boy's back, looking very unruly. Next to her, there were also 2 boys crouching with their heads in their hands. "You're so imposing, Liang Jiaoxi." When my younger sister heard my voice, she was stunned for a moment, then she turned around, glared at me, and cursed viciously. "Who the hell are you meddling in other people's business? Get lost." I stood there without saying a word. My younger sister kicked the man under her and told them to get lost. Then she sat on the ground, took out a cigarette and put it in her mouth, and said in a sarcastic tone, "Oh, isn't this my elder sister who entered a rich family? Why did you remember your poor younger sister? Are you here to give me money? Hand it over." I looked at the 3 people who left and couldn't help clenching my fists. Those 3 people were exactly the ones who had bullied me in high school. During my middle school days, those girls whose breasts developed a bit better were called cows, and those who were a bit fatter were called tanks. The shameful nickname cow was given to me by these people and accompanied me throughout my high school years. Seeing that I didn't say anything, my younger sister glared at me impatiently. "Can't you understand human language? If you don't have money, get lost." I walked over, took the cigarette out of her mouth and threw it away. Then I took out the living expenses I had saved in my pocket, kept a little for myself, and gave the rest to my younger sister. My younger sister quickly took the money. "At least you have some conscience. Come and see me often in the future. Don't come if you don't bring money." However, I rushed over and hugged my younger sister, and asked her in a low voice, "Have you entered high school? Didn't you want to be a star? Go and take the art examination, study hard in high school. The requirements for the cultural courses aren't high. Whatever you want to learn, I have the money and I'll pay for you." I felt my younger sister's body stiffen. Then she also said in a low voice, "I've entered, the stupid guy is dead, so I have to support the family. If they don't let me go to school, I'll make a scene." What to learn? I haven't learned anything. With my conditions, I will definitely become a shining big star. The stupid guy is dead. I looked at my younger sister in disbelief. My younger sister casually flicked her hair. "He died in an accident." 6. Alright, now that you've given me the money, leave quickly and don't bother me. My younger sister suddenly pushed me away, looking very impatient. I still wanted to ask her about her previous life, but she had already walked away with the iron rod in her hand. However, a cold voice suddenly came from behind me. It was Shin. You went through all this trouble just to meet such a thing. I turned around, feeling icy all over. Shin actually followed me. I showed an embarrassed expression and lowered my head. She is my younger sister. Your younger sister only regards you as a free cash machine. Shinwandi, are you really that useless? You even gave her your living expenses, Shin said with an arrogant look. It's only Tuesday today. Don't expect me to help you out. I'm on a diet. Shin looked at me and seemed to be amused by my words. I turned around and walked outside, waiting for the shuttle bus to go back to school. Shin stood beside me. I couldn't help asking, brother, were you worried about me? Shin let out a cold snort. I just came to see if you were doing something that would betray the Shin family behind my back. You eat and live in our house. If you dare to embarrass us, I won't let you off easily. I raised my face and smiled sincerely. Brother, if you were worried about me, just admit it. There's nothing embarrassing about an elder brother worrying about his younger sister. Suddenly, Shin ears turned red. He pursed his lips and said nothing, but I felt nothing in my heart. My younger sister was right. If we exchanged our lives, we would both live very wonderful lives. She could fight back on the spot against all the humiliation. Pick up the iron rod and smash it with all her might, and also make her adoptive parents unable to control her. And I could also become someone that the Shin family would look at with new eyes and make everyone like me. After all, we will meet again at the top. 7. After the evening self-study class ended on Thursday, Shin and Yun Jijing came to find me and insisted on having a late-night snack. As a result, I didn't get a chance to go out alone, actually. That day was my and my younger sister's birthday. After returning to the dormitory, the school gate was already locked. I climbed over the wall with great difficulty and unfortunately met Yun Jijing and I sat side by side on the school wall, and he looked at me with great interest. It's so late, where are you going by climbing over the wall? I stammered and couldn't say anything. Yun Jijing leaned over and said in an extremely ambiguous way, you knew I was here. So you came to have a tryst with me. It's a pity that your elder brother will come out soon. How about I take you away first and we go have some fun? I blushed and said in a low voice, I want to buy that thing. As soon as I said, buy that thing, Yun Jijing understood. He coughed awkwardly and then said, then aren't you feeling uncomfortable now? I'll buy it for you. I shook my head, no need, I'll buy it myself, as I was about to jump down. Yun Jijing jumped down first and opened his arms to me. Come down, I'll catch you. I jumped down and landed in a stable embrace. Yun Jijing pulled me and walked away. Hurry up, don't let your elder brother find out. He's been very jealous recently and always targets me. I was pulled along by Yun Jijing and passed by a girl standing at the school gate. She was holding a bunch of white camellias in her hand. We didn't even look at each other. After buying the things, I went to a cake shop and bought 2 small cakes. I paid for them before Yun Jijing could and then entered a bookstore next to it. Yun Jijing shook his head. What kind of normal person goes to a bookstore when they go out to play? Little Wandi, you really don't know how to be romantic. I took out a small cake, scooped a spoonful and brought it to Yun Jijing's mouth. He was stunned for a moment, then smiled and opened his mouth to eat the cake I fed him. It's really sweet. I put the other small cake on the bookshelf, then pulled Yun Jijing and ran back. When we reached the school gate, there was a bunch of white camellias on the ground. I squatted down and picked them up. At the same time, a girl took a small cake from a certain shelf in the bookstore. 8. During the 3 years of high school, I studied desperately and made use of all the resources I could. After all, I was in an international middle school, and there was no shortage of outstanding people around me. These would all be my connections in the future. I had to be excellent enough to make others look at me with new eyes. After the college entrance examination ended, Yun Jijing confessed his love to me amidst the hustle and bustle. As soon as I turned around, I met Shin obscure gaze. He was also looking at me. I had seen this kind of gaze countless times on him in the past 2 years. I smiled sweetly and walked towards Yun Jijing. Hello, my boyfriend. That night, Shin pinned me against the wall of my room. With red eyes, he questioned me. What's so good about Yun Jijing? Do you really like him that much? I don't believe that you don't understand my feelings. Have you forgotten who marked the key points for you day and night and helped you predict the exam questions? In the previous life, did my younger sister barge into her room and confess to him like this? What did he say? Are you that cheap? Asking you to call me big brother isn't enough. Do you also want to be the mistress of the Shin family? Remember your place, you're nothing but a dog raised by the Shin family. I tilted my head and looked at Shin Qianqian, confused yet firm. But you're my big brother. Mom and Dad raised me and painstakingly cultivated me. How could I do something so ungrateful? There was a hidden glimmer in Shin Qianqian's eyes as he said in a low voice, I'll figure something out with Mom and Dad. They like you a lot too. I'm sorry, big brother. You're a very important family member to me. The person I like has always been Yun Zhijing. 9. In this life, I became the top scorer in the science category of the provincial college entrance examination. Shin Qianqian also did very well in the exam. Unfortunately, it seemed that all the limelight was stolen by me. The Shin family held a celebration banquet for our further studies. Everyone was extremely curious about me. I behaved in a well-behaved, sensible, and composed manner, bringing a lot of face to the Shin family. Quite a few people came with the intention of arranging a marriage, but Mr. and Mrs. Shin tactfully declined. The Yun family immediately declared their sovereignty, saying that Yun Zhijing and I were already together. Others smiled and congratulated Mr. and Mrs. Shin, saying that the Yun and Shin families had always been on good terms, and now with this added kinship, others might as well just settle for the scraps. I smiled and looked at Yun Zhijing, meeting his tender and affectionate eyes. I thought of a sentence my younger sister had said. She said, elder sister, I really loved him, when being deliberately flirted with and boldly confessed to by a God's favored one like Shin Qianqian, and then being humiliated and heartbroken. Yun Zhijing was like a ray of light shining into her heart. He was always so gentle and meticulous, with a pair of charming peach blossom eyes. He seemed affectionate even when looking at a dog. He was also extremely patient, but after 3 years of dating, he smiled and said he was bored, gave my younger sister a bank card, and asked her to leave. After Yun Zhijing got married, the Shin family felt that they had raised my younger sister for so long without getting anything in return. They felt they had suffered a loss, so they made her accompany a difficult client. That client was a 60-year-old man with a tendency to abuse. My younger sister told me this with a smile. She said that in her 20s, there wasn't a single person around her who treated her sincerely, and no one had noticed that since junior high school, she had always done things to hurt herself, again and again, until she was 24 years old. In these past few years, during festivals, we would meet in a certain bookstore. My younger sister would wear a baseball cap and a mask. We would stand back to back and tell each other bit by bit about the years we had missed in each other's lives, because other people's parents said that festivals were times for family reunions, so in this life, we would try to meet on every festival. 10. I went to Jing City and entered University A, the same university as Shin Qianqian. Yun Zhijing also went to Jing City, but not to the same university as us. Yun Zhijing and I were like all campus couples, holding hands, hugging, and kissing. He would always arrange every date well to make me happy and create small surprises. He was called a model boyfriend by my roommates, and our relationship was very stable. My younger sister was also in Jing City. She barely managed to get into the film academy. With her superior appearance, fearless temperament, and love for acting, she became quite famous in the academy. On my birthday in the first semester of my sophomore year, Shin Qianqian and Yun Zhijing celebrated my birthday. My younger sister entered the wrong private room, was drunk and confused. When she saw Yun Zhijing, she rushed over and hugged him, crying. Shin Qianqian looked like he was watching a show. Yun Zhijing was scared. He was explaining to me while trying to drive my drunk younger sister away. But my younger sister was crying so sincerely, accusing Yun Zhijing of being a heartbreaker. She was so heartbroken that even Yun Zhijing was dazed. Shin Qianqian smiled with his lips curled. Yun Zhijing, did you incur some romantic debts outside behind Wandi's back? There were other people in the private room. At this time, they were all looking at Yun Zhijing. Some people made jokes, saying that she must have mistaken him for someone else. Yun Zhijing immediately came to his senses and looked at me nervously. Absolutely not. I swear, I really don't know her. I walked over, stared at my younger sister for a while, and then suddenly said, she's my younger sister, I told you about her. So, there was one more person celebrating the birthday. Soon, someone came to look for my younger sister and took her away. It turned out that my younger sister was also celebrating her birthday next door. On this day, my younger sister and I finally added each other as friends openly, and in order to annoy Shen Qianqian, Yun Jijing also wanted to matchmake Shen Qianqian and my younger sister. My younger sister still had that unruly look, full of personality, flamboyant and enthusiastic. I gave her a bank card, a not small amount of money rewarded by the school and the city when the exam results came out. My younger sister still took it without hesitation. In her sophomore year, my younger sister already had acting opportunities. In her junior year, my younger sister returned the money I gave her. With interest, she played the second female lead in a low-budget online drama and became popular. I took this money and registered a public relations company, but early the next morning, I received a message from Shen Qianqian. Qianyuan Hotel, room 1202, your boyfriend got lost there, 11. When I saw this message, I smiled and then angrily called Shen Qianqian. Shen Qianqian, what nonsense are you talking about? What are you going crazy about again? Shen Qianqian, me going crazy, Shen Wandi, be reasonable, okay, why are you always so mean to me? You're so nice to your younger sister who only asks you for money, and you're so nice to your cheating boyfriend, you take out all your anger on me, right? Why I treat you like this? You know in your heart. I angrily hung up the phone and then rushed to the hotel Shen Qianqian told me about. As soon as I arrived, Shen Qianqian was actually waiting for me at the hotel entrance. I knew you'd come, come on, big brother will take you up. Shen Qianqian forcefully took my hand, took the elevator to suite 1202, and then knocked on the door, saying at the door, Yun Jijing, open the door. Shen Qianqian's voice even sounded a bit elated. I know you're in there, open the door quickly. Ever since I rejected Shen Qianqian, it was as if he had flipped some incredible switch and no longer had the demeanor of the aloof campus heartthrob he used to be. The door was pushed open with a shove. I stood at the door and saw Yun Jijing looking half asleep. When he met my eyes, he suddenly woke up. There was only Yun Jijing left in the room. Messy clothes were scattered all over the floor. There was also evidence of last night's debauchery in the trash can. The room was filled with the smell of love-making. I swayed, and Yun Jijing reached out to support my waist and hugged me. Wandi, listen to me explain. My tears fell in big drops as I choked and asked Yun Jijing, who is that person? After a long silence, I shouted in collapse, who is it? Tell me. Yun Jijing opened his mouth with difficulty. Liang Jiaxi, my younger sister. 12. Yun Jijing, we're breaking up. Yun Jijing suddenly stood up. No, Shen Qianqian. Put your clothes on first. I turned my face away. This isn't a negotiation, this is a notice. You didn't negotiate with me when you slept with someone else. After a pause, I added, be nice to my sister. I ran out, and Shen Qianqian chased after me. I shook off his hand. I want to be alone. Don't bother me. You're my younger sister. If I don't watch over you, what if something happens to you? Don't think I don't know what you're up to. You men are all the same, wronged. I'm not Yun Jijing. You should regret not choosing me back then, right? I looked at Shen Qianqian deeply. I don't regret it. Shen Qianqian was really angry with me. Finally, he gritted his teeth and said, fine, very good, Shen Wandi, remember what you said, you'd better never regret it in this life. Finally, I got rid of Shen Qianqian. I took out my phone and called my younger sister. My younger sister and I huddled in a small, shabby rental house. Without heating, we were shivering. We hugged each other, crying and laughing, and drinking. Elder sister, I will definitely become a shining big star. Yeah, you definitely will. Elder sister, what's your dream? I don't have a dream. My dream and goal in these 2 lives is to earn a lot of money, buy a big house, save a lot of money, so that we can live a good life, not be bullied, and not have to look at other people's faces. I studied computer science and technology. With money, I opened a public relations company. Everything seemed to say that I was a person who loved money like my life. My younger sister was obviously unhappy. I sighed and thought for a while. I like painting. When I don't lack money in the future, I'll study painting. My younger sister raised her beer and clinked glasses with me. Cheers to a beautiful future and tomorrow. 13. Shen Qianqian started to ignore me, returning to his aloof and arrogant appearance. Yun Jijing still couldn't accept the fact that we had broken up. He came to the school to look for me several times, explaining to me that he wasn't himself that day and was obviously drugged. He said that day he received a message from a friend that my younger sister was being harassed at a drinking party and was taken to a hotel. She might be in trouble, so he went there. Who knew what would happen later? I felt it was necessary to have a good talk with Yun Jijing, so I asked him out. In the coffee shop, I calmly said to Yun Jijing. I don't want to mention the past, let's part amicably, don't make it so ugly, okay. There was anger in Yun Jijing's eyes. It seemed that his patience had finally run out. He said coldly, you really have to be like this, don't you? I've always been like this, haven't I? Yun Jijing sneered. Shenwandi, I've wanted to say this for a long time, you're really boring. Sometimes I wonder, you've been saying you've loved me for so many years. Do you really know what it means to love someone? I'm really curious, are you like this in bed too? I bit my lip, my body trembling slightly with anger. I splashed a cup of coffee in Yun Jijing's face and glared at him. He took out a wet wipe and slowly wiped the coffee stains off his face. His expression became even more unpleasant. In a way, you're really not as interesting as your sister. You and Shen Qianqian are quite a match. A cold voice came. Something you don't want. Do you think I'll want it? I'm not that picky, thank you. Shen Qianqian was behind me. He pushed his gold-rimmed glasses. With his refined and elite look, he looked at me and curled his lips. Look at her. In bed, she must be as dull as a dead fish. My eyes were blood red. I looked at Shen Qianqian in disbelief. Shen Qianqian lowered his head and whispered in my ear softly, Sister, don't look at me like that. You have no attraction for me now. These two people, because of me, had a falling out. Now, because of me, they made up. How ridiculous. 14. I maintained my usual pride, scolded them for being shameless, holding back my anger, and then ran away. In fact, after leaving the coffee shop, I took a taxi and went to my younger sister's new rental house. She had cooked a meal and was waiting for me. Without Shen Qianqian and Yun Jijing in my life, I didn't become depressed. Instead, I became more and more positive and lived a very fulfilling life every day. Since I was in the same school as Shen Qianqian, we sometimes ran into each other. He was arrogant and cold, and I was polite and distant. People who knew us well asked why the two of us had become so tense. I said it was because I had broken up with Yun Jijing and Shen Qianqian, and Yun Jijing were childhood friends, so I was avoiding suspicion. As for the reason for the breakup, neither of us revealed it, but I knew that because of Shen Qianqian's change, some people guessed that I had done something to sorry Yun Jijing. However, in a top-tier institution, everyone has their own plans and paces. After the matter passed, no one mentioned these gossips anymore. As a study-obsessed person myself, I basically passed all the certificates I could during my time at school and participated in all the club activities I could. In University A, I was definitely a well-known figure. Also, because I had made a lot of connections. Before I graduated, many people from big companies came to ask me to work for them, with good treatment. By the first semester of my senior year, I had already received my desired job offer. I was destined to stay here. While Shen Qianqian and Yun Jijing were going back to Guangqing to inherit their family businesses, in these past few years, I also kept in touch with Mr. and Mrs. Shen. After I turned 18, I stopped asking them for living expenses. I didn't touch the gifts they gave me that I couldn't refuse. During festivals, I would also buy them gifts. I had scholarships and could earn money myself. Mr. Shen also said that after I graduated, I could go to the Shen family's company for an internship. The good popularity I had accumulated in high school also brought them a lot of convenience. Everyone who knew me praised me without exception, in every aspect. As their adopted daughter, I had brought them great glory. Even when they learned that I had broken up with Yun Jijing and Shen Qianqian had distanced himself from me because of this, they called me and said that no matter what, I would always be their daughter, directly saying that Shen Qianqian was being childish. Presumably because he was scolded by his parents, Shen Qianqian sent me a message, "Come to the library." I walked over. Shen Qianqian still had that arrogant and cold look. Snitching, "You're really resourceful. You've even won over my parents." I smiled and looked at Shen Qianqian. "Big brother, no matter how much you dislike me, we're the kind of relationship where even if we break up, we still go home together for a reunion dinner." This was the first time that my eyes were filled with blatant provocation. Shen Qianqian also curled his lips into a smile. "Sister, you look much more interesting like this than before. Does Big Brother like it again?" "Unfortunately, I only see you as a big brother, because I love Mom and Dad, and I love Big Brother." Shen Qianqian pinched my wrist, and there was an undercurrent in his eyes. "Don't tell me that you've always liked me. And you were with Yun Jijing just because you thought the sibling relationship was more lasting than the lover relationship." I forcefully pulled my hand back and didn't answer Shen Qianqian's question, trying to cover up. I didn't care what Shen Qianqian was feeling at the moment. I achieved my goal and left gracefully. 15. A constant stream of isomerism began to surround Shin Qianqian. Every time he got a new girlfriend, he would ask me out for a meal. As if there was a sense of ceremony like introducing the other person to his relatives, Shin Qianqian and I became siblings with a seemingly friendly relationship on the surface. My younger sister signed with an agency, with both beauty and acting skills. She became a little popular and had quite a few fans. Recently, it was rumored that she was going to join the cast of an S+ big production drama, playing the second female lead, a very likable and fan-attracting role. Once this drama aired, she would rise in status in the entertainment industry. It was also at this time that dark secrets about my younger sister were exposed. She was said to have been a delinquent girl since childhood, bullying classmates, leeching off her elder sister, being jealous that her own sister was adopted by a wealthy family. Not only did she constantly ask her sister for money, but she also stole her sister's boyfriend. My relationship with Yun Jijing was also dug up. My younger sister seemed to be my opposite. Countless beautiful words were piled on me, as if creating a goddess. In contrast, my younger sister was set off as being good for nothing. Netizens said that the two sisters were like a bright moon in the sky and a rat in the gutter, and what attracted the most attention from the public was the bed photos of my younger sister and Yun Jijing. Although my younger sister's face couldn't be clearly seen, everyone was indignant and firmly believed that the woman was Liang Jiaxi. The photos of Shin Qianqian and me catching Yun Jijing in the hotel were very clear. This was already conclusive evidence. People who knew me and Yun Jijing kept coming forward to reveal secrets, saying that the two of us were originally a perfect couple, but we broke up after this incident. Some people also said that Yun Jijing was set up. In short, my younger sister became the mistress who was jealous of her sister and was shouted at and attacked by everyone. The internet was in an uproar. My younger sister stood up and made a positive response. She said that she had never had any relationship with her sister's ex-boyfriend and even showed her schedule on the day Yun Jijing cheated. On that day, my younger sister and her manager met with clients until very late, drank until they had gastric bleeding, and there were medical records. Photos. Even on that day, she posted a photo of herself getting in 4 drip, which was only visible to her fans. She was in the hospital the whole night. How could she have been having an affair with Yun Jijing in the hotel? While my younger sister was clarifying, she also sent out lawyers' letters and sued all those who spread rumors. At the same time, I also stood up. I admitted that I broke up with Yun Jijing because he cheated, but the person he cheated with was not Liang Jiaxi. Even on the morning when we caught him, I received a call from my younger sister and went to the hospital to pick her up and take her home. As for leeching off, my status as the top scorer in the college entrance examination gave me hundreds of thousands of yuan in rewards. I had scholarships and could also earn money from part-time jobs. I didn't need the money, since I didn't want my younger sister to suffer. I gave her the money, but after my younger sister made money from filming, she gave all of it to me without keeping a single cent. So where was the leeching off? The clear evidence and the reversal slapped the haters in the face and also left Yun Jijing stunned. After the breakup, he looked for my younger sister several times, but my younger sister refused to meet him, so he released such revelations, trying to make my younger sister unable to survive in the entertainment industry, and then he could appear as a savior. He had always been so despicable and shameless. This incident instead made my younger sister more popular. Even regarding the matter of her bullying classmates, some people stood up to speak for her. Many girls said that during their middle school years, they were called nicknames like buck-toothed girl, tank, cow, fat pig, etc., and suffered all kinds of malice. It was my younger sister who stood up for them like a heroic woman. The so-called bullying of classmates was actually her helping the bullied classmates. Together with my younger sister's pitiful background, it was also dug up. She was beaten by her adoptive parents day and night, and the neighbors all knew about it. Now that she had money, she still didn't ignore her adoptive parents. What a kind-hearted girl. This continuous popularity and the touching truth made my younger sister completely break out of the circle. Her popularity among the public was extremely good. The most popular thing was the CP of my younger sister and me, the top student elder sister and the underachiever younger sister. My younger sister posted a photo of us raising our glasses in her rental house, which was once regarded as a divine picture. Fan fiction about the two of us sprang up like mushrooms after rain. Only then did Shin Qianqian and Yun Jijing realize that the relationship between me and Liang Jiaxi was really good, so good that it was beyond their expectations. they thought it was one-sided devotion. But it turned out to be a two-way relationship. 16, we graduated smoothly. Shin Qianqian came to the place where I lived and asked me to give up my job in Jing City and return to Guangqing to work in the Shin family's company. He even brought up Mr. and Mrs. Shen. I refused. Shen Wandi, after we go back, I'm going to get engaged to the daughter of the Hua family. If you come back to Guangqing, I won't get engaged. I almost couldn't help laughing. I stared at Shin Qianqian and said, "Congratulations, big brother, I will send you a congratulatory gift." "What do you mean? Do you think I'm joking with you? If you continue like this, we won't even be able to be a family anymore. If you don't come back, never come back to the Shin family. Guangqing is the place where you grew up. You've had more than 10 years of feelings here. You still have family here. What's the point of you being alone in Jing City?" Shin Qianqian, where my younger sister is, that's where my home is. Shin Qianqian suddenly looked at me, then sneered and said, "Well, as expected, you're an ungrateful white-eyed wolf. You ate and used our family's resources. After taking advantage of everything and becoming independent, you want to get rid of us. Dream on." Shin Qianqian was completely angry. He pulled me into his arms and kissed me forcefully. I struggled and resisted desperately, but was held even tighter. I was stumbled and pressed onto the bed, unable to resist. Just then, the door opened from the outside. Liang Zhaoxi was stunned for a moment, then picked up a wine bottle and smashed it towards Shin Qianqian. I reached out to block it, preventing her from hitting Shin Qianqian's head. Liang Zhaoxi forcefully pulled Shin Qianqian away and told him to get out. Shin Qianqian gave us a cold look, snorted, and walked away. As soon as he left, I took out my phone and called his mother. I cried heartbreakingly and said, "Mom, I'm sorry. In the future, I can't be the daughter of the Shin family anymore. I will work hard to make money and transfer all the money you spend on me over the years to you. In the future, if there's anything you need my help with and I can do it, I will definitely do my best. In my heart, you and Dad are still the parents I love. Thank you for your cultivation of me over the years." Then I cried and told them what Shin Qianqian had almost done to me. I also informed them that since high school, Big Brother seemed to have different feelings for me. That's why I wanted to take the college entrance examination to go to Jing City. I didn't expect that Big Brother still found out about my college entrance examination choices and also came here. The resources I got in the Shin family had brought them huge returns. Now many of their connections were made through me. I knew that they wouldn't break up with me. Since it was Shin Qianqian who was wrong first and I made sure there was no fault on my part, they couldn't do anything to me. My younger sister said that she didn't hate the Shin family, let it be like this, but the revenge on Yun Zhijing was still going on. 17. My younger sister finally became a big star as she wished, and I also became a leader in the industry. I handed over the management of my public relations company to others, and it was also thriving. 1 year later, on the day Yun Zhijing was getting engaged to a daughter of a wealthy family in Guangqing, a woman with a 2 or 3-year-old boy rushed into the engagement ceremony and cried, "Yun Zhijing, you can't marry someone else, this is our son." The person from that night came back, and she had a child. As a former friend, how could I miss this opportunity? I immediately arranged for online trolls to spread the news and also took a video of the engagement scene. I put this touching drama of a family reunion on the internet, and it quickly became a hot topic. The rich second generation in Guangqing. Isn't this the guy who once tried to smear Goddess Chashi, rotten cucumber? He also wanted to destroy the relationship between Goddess Chashi and her sister. Fortunately, her sister dotes on her. The internet was abuzz with discussion. Liang Zhaoxi secretly posted a Weibo about making smashed cucumber. I commented below, "Focus on filming well, I'll make you spare ribs tonight." Netizens immediately said, "So sweet." Shenwandi tagged Liang Zhaoxi, "Sister, I want some too, I'm Chaoxi's wife." We were extremely lively here, while over at Yun Zhijing's side, it was in chaos. The family of his fiancée was furious and immediately called off the engagement. The Yun family was also extremely disappointed in this son. That night, Shin Qianqian called. Without answering, I already knew who was on the other end. "Shenwandi, you two are teaming up to play me." Yun Zhijing roared in collapse. "Why? There's no reason, I'm just bad, and besides, the person who did something wrong is clearly you. No one forced you to sleep with someone else, right?" Yun Zhijing was so angry on the other end of the phone that he seemed to be about to vomit blood. There was also a little boy beside him calling, "Dad." My younger sister, who had just finished work, took the phone and laughed heartily. "Let me tell you why. because my sister loves me the most. Yun Jijing, Shen Qianchen, you both treated me badly in the previous life, bullied me, so, we sisters are here for revenge. There was suddenly silence on the other end. It seemed that the place had changed, and the person answering the phone had also changed. Shen Wandi. Shen Qianchen's voice was very calm, but if you listened carefully, you could still hear a trace of trembling. I responded with an and said, speak, Shen Qianchen, did you never like me? Have you been playing with me all this time? Unfortunately, before I could enjoy the inheritance left by my younger sister, a few days later, the stupid son of my adoptive parents rushed out and stabbed me to death. On the other end, the breathing stopped. I put the phone on speaker and hooked my finger at Liang Jiaxi. Liang Jiaxi leaned over and said in a sarcastic tone, having those kinds of thoughts about your own sister, you're really despicable. Shen Qianchen. The phone was hung up. My younger sister and I laughed until we were in stitches. As we laughed, her tears came out. 18. Shen Qianchen and Yun Jijing still had quite a few opponents. After the incident in the Yun family, some people spread rumors, saying that Shen Qianchen had actually been secretly in love with Yun Jijing all along, otherwise he wouldn't have followed him to Jing City, and after Yun Jijing and I broke up, he also broke off relations with me. The rumors were spread vividly, the reputations of these two people were completely ruined, and the company's performance was also much worse than before. Yun Jijing also had an illegitimate child, which good family daughter would be willing to marry them. 5 years after graduation, I resigned from the company and switched to doing self-media. I opened my own studio, wrote scripts, and shot short dramas. Liang Jiaxi had already become a top-tier female star and won 2 major mainstream awards. She would also come to make guest appearances in my works when she had time. Liang Jiaxi's name resounded throughout the streets and alleys. With great popularity came being blackmailed, but we got through it all together. I only found out later that because of my younger sister's rebellious nature, her adoptive parents had actually locked her and the mentally disabled boy in the same room, trying to force her to submit. They even drugged her. It was my younger sister who fought desperately to resist and escaped. The mentally disabled boy chased after her, hit his head, and died, so they didn't dare to make a scene. Later, I put down my work and went to study painting. I had a lot of money and a very successful career. Now I live a carefree and unrestrained life. My younger sister was even more dazzling. She worked much harder than me. She really loved this career and enjoyed this feeling. Everyone thought I was the one with the most career ambition, but in the end, my younger sister was called a workaholic. While I went traveling everywhere, she said she was an evil spirit crawling in the dark, finally seeing the light of day, but she didn't know that she was originally the morning sun, the dawn, and would eventually shine brightly. We will both welcome a bright and dazzling new life. Story 2. After the divorce, I received a large sum of money from an unknown source and a safe filled with my photos. On the back of each photo was written, wishing Shen Cixi peace and smooth sailing. The name signed was Fu Yunchuan, the name of my ex-husband's brother. He had recently died of liver cancer, starting over in another life. I returned to the day the marriage alliance between our families was agreed upon. Once again given the choice of a marriage partner, I did not hesitate to point to the person in the corner whose gaze had been fixed on me. I choose him. In the private room, there was laughter and cheerful conversation. The woman sitting opposite me smiled kindly. Shen Cixi, which of our boys do you like? I snapped back to reality and scanned the surroundings. Wasn't this the place where the Shen and Fu families agreed to the marriage alliance 8 years ago? The realism of the moment made it hard for me to believe. I pinched myself, and the heart-wrenching pain made me realize this was not a dream. Before I could answer, a voice that I loathed to the point of nausea spoke up. Cixi and I are truly in love. Please rest assured, uncle and aunt, and entrust Cixi to me. The speaker was the marriage partner I had chosen in my past life, the youngest son of the Fu family, Fu Yunjiang. I thought we were truly in love too. So I chose him without hesitation. After we got married, his true nature revealed itself. He gave me the cold shoulder, hardly spent nights at home, and made it clear that he married me only for the resources of the Shen family. I had a mental breakdown and asked for a divorce many times, but he refused. Eventually, when the Shen family was ruined and my father hospitalized with depression, he agreed to sign the divorce papers since I was no longer of any value to him. Just when I was at my lowest, a large sum of money appeared in my bank account. A person claiming to be Fu Yunchuan's assistant approached me and handed me a safe. Before leaving, the assistant told me, "This contains the most precious thing Mr. Fu had in this world. The code is your birthday, please make sure to open it, Miss Shen. I had an idea about the origin of the money in the bank, but I didn't understand why it was given to me. Filled with doubts, I opened the safe. Inside, it was filled with photos of me from childhood to my wedding, and on the back of each photo, it read, "Wishing Shen Cixi peace and smooth sailing." Fu Yunjiang once mentioned that his brother had an unrequited love, a white moonlight. A bold idea crossed my mind, but I had only met Fu Yunjiang's brother 3 times, once at the marriage alliance banquet, once at our wedding, and the last time at his funeral. How could he possibly have feelings for me? Little Cixi, speak up. My mother's voice pulled my thoughts back from the chaos. Seeing Fu Yunjiang's determined expression, I hardened my face, pointing to Fu Yunchuan, who sat in the dimmest light. I said firmly, "I choose him." "What did you say?" The whole room was shocked by my decision, with Fu Yunjiang reacting the most violently as he slammed the table and stood up. I said, "I choose Fu Yunchuan." I looked at Fu Yunchuan and spoke word by word, hoping he could hear clearly. From the beginning, I had felt a burning gaze following me, but I hadn't thought much of it. It had always been him. A flicker of surprise appeared in Fu Yunchuan's eyes, which quickly returned to normal, but his reddening ear tips betrayed his feigned composure. Fu Yunchuan adjusted his gold-rimmed glasses and looked at me seriously. "Miss Shen, marriage is no child's play. I am a widower, not a divorcee. Please consider carefully." I didn't hesitate. "That suits me perfectly, Shen girl. Are you sure you've thought this through? Weren't you with Yunjiang?" Fu's mother tried to persuade me further, but I interrupted her. In my previous life, I had suffered at the hands of Fu Yunjiang, and I had sought her help to no avail. Every time, I received the same response: "Fu Yunjiang is working hard out there. Just hang in there a little longer." But enduring it only led to increasingly severe situations. Suppressing an inexplicable sadness in my heart, I said, "You don't need to persuade me anymore. This time I choose Fu Yunchuan." "I don't agree," Fu Yunjiang retorted, his expression volatile. Fu's father gave him a stern look, prompting him to restrain himself. I knew about his bad temper. Even before we were married in my previous life, he would lose his temper at me. Looking back, I must have been blinded to have fallen for him. His agreement or disagreement doesn't count. My gaze swept past him and settled on Fu Yunchuan, meeting his deep, profound eyes. "I wonder if Mr. Fu agrees." He glanced at his watch. "The Civil Affairs office hasn't closed yet. Miss Shen, would you like to go now?" Of course. My usually silent father looked at me with a reluctant gaze. "Well, it resolves a long-standing issue between both families." After both families agreed, I followed Fu Yunchuan out of the private room. He carried himself with an upright grace, making even a plain black trench coat look distinguished and stylish. His long strides moved forward relentlessly, exemplifying what it means to walk with a breeze. After getting into the car, Fu Yunchuan didn't immediately start driving. His expression was serene as his hands, resting on the steering wheel, gradually clenched. "Where do you want to go now?" "I'll take you." I was puzzled. "Aren't we going to the Civil Affairs office?" Fu Yunchuan's tone was low, his eyes avoiding mine. "You weren't just saying that in the heat of the moment because you were upset with him." I instantly realized the misunderstanding and quickly explained, waving my hands. "No, I am serious about marrying you." The Fu Yunchuan I remembered was a decisive king in the business world, cold, proud, and distant. In my previous life, after I got married, Fu Yunjiang took over the domestic business while he expanded internationally. But today, I saw his vulnerable side. I remembered how in my previous life, he left me a fortune and locked my photo in a safe. A sudden sting in my heart, driven by curiosity, made me carefully ask him, "Mr. Fu, why did you agree to marry me?" He paused, a flicker of something unusual passing through his dark eyes. "Can I tell you later?" "All right." I was both apprehensive and eager as I awaited his answer. I was ready, yet he asked to wait. It felt like a TV lottery drawing where the power cuts off just before the last number is revealed. But since we weren't close yet and he didn't want to tell, I didn't press him. After all, there's still a long future ahead. At the entrance of the Civil Affairs office, I hesitated, the scenes of my marriage from my previous life vivid in my mind, casting a huge shadow that made me fearful. Noticing I hadn't followed, Fu Yunchuan, who was walking ahead, stopped, his expression turned despondent. His eyes gradually dimming, I realized that he was like a proud but insecure cat, extremely sensitive and inept at expressing himself. Feeling somewhat embarrassed, I was about to explain when Fu Yunchuan preempted me. "You still have the chance to back out now. Marriage is for a lifetime. If you don't want to marry me, I can take you home right now. The phrase a lifetime, which should have been beautiful and full of dreams, sounded unexpectedly solid coming from him. I hurried forward, linking my arm with his. Mr. Fu, the civil affairs office is about to close, let's go in. In less than 5 minutes, Fu Yunchuan and I had our marriage certificate in hand. Fu Yunchuan looked at the little red booklet with a tender gaze, a subtle smile barely detectable at the corner of his mouth. I stared at the marriage certificate, still in disbelief that I had been reborn. Could all this be just a dream? Mr. Fu, I would like to go home for a bit. Sure, I'll take you there. Now that we're married, if you prefer not to live with me, I have no objections. It seemed my offhand comment had triggered an overreaction from him, reading too much into it. I mean, you can come with me. There are some household items that I need help with moving. Mr. Fu, okay. After packing some clothes and receiving a few words of advice from my parents, I followed Fu Yunchuan back to his private villa. His villa was elegantly simple from the outside, yet grand. The interior was done in natural wood, fitting his refined temperament perfectly. A faint scent of fresh grass and wood lingered in the air. If you don't like the decoration here, I can have someone change it tomorrow, he said, probably thinking I didn't like it after seeing me standing still, looking around for quite some time. No, I love it. May I know where my room is? I quickly added an explanation, fearing he might overthink again. Mr. Fu, even though we are officially married, we are still strangers. I think it's better to sleep in separate rooms for now. We have a lifetime ahead to cultivate our feelings. It won't be too late to share a room later. He nodded slightly in agreement, silently carrying the suitcase as we went upstairs. Passing by me, I heard him whisper very softly, actually, you can call me by my name. His shyness made me laugh. Who would have thought such a domineering CEO could be so innocent? You have nothing without the Shin family. You are nothing. The girls outside are much more interesting than you. Just hang out with my brothers for a while. Why pretend to be pure now? I knelt on the ground, pleading desperately, Yunjiang, please spare me, spare the Shin family. Several hands reached toward me, roughly tearing at my clothes. No, don't. I suddenly sat up from the bed, breathing heavily, as thunder roared outside. The near bankruptcy of the Shin family in my previous life was a nightmare I could never forget. Fu Yunjiang was heartless, offering me up to his friends. Fortunately, my best friend arrived just in time to rescue me, barely clothed, wiping the sweat from my forehead. A thought gradually solidified in my mind. In this life, I was determined to make Fu Yunjiang empathize with my pain. However, by myself, I could never stand against the Fu family. If Fu Yunchuan was willing to help, things would be much easier. This was one of the reasons why I chose to ally myself with the Fu family again. The thunder outside continued relentlessly. It had completely driven away any sleepiness. My mouth was dry, so I decided to go downstairs for a water and wander around Fu Yunchuan's grand villa. Unexpectedly, as I passed by the study, I saw Fu Yunchuan still inside. Through the half-open door, I saw him holding a photograph, his eyes filled with love. It was already 4 a.m, it would soon be daylight. Staying up all night isn't good for health. Staying up. Suddenly, I remembered that in my previous life, Fu Yunchuan had died of liver cancer. Could it have been due to staying up late? Ignoring politeness, I pushed the door open. Anxiously, I said, Fu Yunchuan, go to sleep. Staying up is bad for your health, Fu Yunchuan, startled by my sudden appearance, scrambled to stash the photographs on his desk into a safe. Realizing my rashness, sorry, I meant it's already 4 a.m. and you have to work, so you should get some rest now. Fu Yunchuan's smile had lingered in his eyes since he started looking at the photos, and this was the first time I saw him smile so openly. I'll put these things away and then go to sleep. As he spoke, he also placed our marriage certificate into the safe. Seeing the safe, identical to the one from my past life, the safe contains the most precious things in the world to him. The assistant's words echoed over and over in my mind. I asked him why he chose to marry me, perhaps already knowing the answer, but when did he start liking me? Why does he like me? Do I deserve his wholehearted love? What are you thinking about? Why are you awake? Are you scared of the thunder? Fu Yunchuan's 3 gentle inquiries and my 3 puzzled ones made me blurt out something ambiguous. Yes, I'm scared. I want you to be with me. Upon receiving a positive response from me, Fu Yunchuan did not hesitate. Okay. On the way back to the room with Fu Yunchuan, I really wanted to slap myself for speaking nonsense just now. I was the one who suggested sleeping in separate rooms, and now I was asking to sleep together. I didn't know what Fu Yunchuan would think. whether he would find me unreliable and not keeping promises. As soon as I entered the room, I was shocked by the striking red on the bed. The head of the bed was adorned with the character for happiness, and beside the bed were my favorite sunflowers. Fu Yunchuan had actually decorated the room like a bridal chamber. If I hadn't come to his room, I would have missed his intentions. Thinking about this, I looked at him with mixed emotions. His face flushed. He unconsciously fiddled with the hem of his clothes, like a child whose secret had been discovered. The housekeeper arranged it this afternoon. I didn't know how to respond, as my marriage to him was partly out of guilt and partly for a purpose. I don't deserve his affection. He deserves someone better to be by his side. Fu Yunchuan was confused by my silence, thinking I was disdainful of him. You sleep on the bed, and I'll stay by your side. I choked on 1,000 words and finally managed to say, thank you. Protected by Fu Yunchuan, I had a peaceful night's sleep, free from nightmares. When I woke up, only the housekeeper and a maid were cleaning the house. Upon seeing me, the maid smiled joyfully. Madam, you are even more beautiful than in the photos. Ah, the housekeeper, standing nearby, made faces, signaling the maid not to speak, but the maid didn't care. The sir has shown us your photos. I shyly smiled. Really? Absolutely. I often see the sir looking at your photos and smiling. He really loves you very much. The maid showed a bit of pride while the housekeeper closed his eyes, indicating he couldn't bear to watch. As the maid was about to say more, the housekeeper covered her mouth. But what he himself said was even more explosive. There's a large sunflower garden in the backyard, personally planted by the sir. I think he planted it because you like it. Would you like to go see it now? This must be what they mean by if you can't beat them, join them. Thank you for telling me. If they hadn't mentioned it, I might never have known these things from Fu Yunchuan, just as I would never directly ask him if he likes me. Just like the language of sunflowers is silent love, from sunrise to sunset, sunflowers silently follow the sun, representing loyalty and devotion. That's why I like them. Looking at the sea of sunflowers before me, tears fell unknowingly. It seems I have found my lifetime sunflower. I dialed Fu Yunchuan's number. The moment the call connected, my voice trembled uncontrollably. Fu Yunchuan, I want to see you. Fu Yunchuan responded gently, sweetheart, I'll be home soon. Besides the voice of Fu Yunchuan, I also heard someone calling for President Fu. He must be busy, and here I am adding to the chaos. I hastily wiped away my tears and snot, trying to keep my voice steady. You go ahead and take care of your things. After hanging up the phone, I sat alone amidst a sea of flowers, lost in thought. I'm not sure how much time had passed. Footsteps approached from behind, and I was sure it was Fu Yunchuan returning. I turned around joyfully, but the smile froze on my face the moment I saw who it was, and my first instinct was to step back. Why was Fu Yunjiang here? Hearing him say my name only filled me with disgust, enough to make me want to retch. What are you doing here, Why have you suddenly started ignoring me? Did I do something wrong? As he said this, he tried to touch me, attempting to embrace me. Panicking, I tried to pull away from his embrace, let go of me, but I didn't notice a step behind me. I missed it and instinctively lunged forward, falling into his arms. Just then, I saw a tall figure not far away watching us. By the time I steadied myself, the figure had disappeared. I had a bad feeling. He must be angry. Meanwhile, Fu Yunjiang kept babbling. You still love me, right? He still dared to talk to me about love. All I wanted was to tear him apart. Get lost. I'm already married to Fu Yunchuan. Stop bothering me. After pushing him away, I ignored the pain in my ankle and ran towards the house. I hadn't even entered the door when I heard the sound of things being smashed upstairs. A familiar figure hurried towards me as soon as he saw me. It was Fu Yunchuan's assistant from a past life. Madam, our sir has been quite unstable. I've already called the private doctor. Please madam, don't be afraid of sir, and don't get too close. I'm afraid he might hurt you. I shook my head. He's my husband. I'm not afraid. He was upset because of my emotional outburst. How could he hurt me? If anything, he gave me enough confidence to believe he would never harm me. I pushed open the bedroom door, and the room was a mess. But the sunflowers at the bedside were still intact. Fu Yunchuan, with his back to the door, picked up something and was about to throw it at the door, and he yelled, "Get out!" His hand trembled slightly in the last moment before throwing, letting the object fly past me. I was unharmed, but Fu Yunchuan was visibly shaken and quickly strode towards me. He raised his hand wanting to check if I was hurt but, fearing my anger, he lowered it again. His eyes, large and teary, stared at me unblinkingly, looking rather pitiful with a hint of fear of being abandoned flickering through them. Tell me, why are you angry? He remained silent. Is it because you saw me with Fu Yunjiang? He nodded slightly. He tried to make advances on me. I dodged and accidentally missed a step, instinctively grabbing him. So there's nothing between us. Don't overthink it, okay? He nodded again, the tension in his neck easing. Apparently no longer angry, I looked at him with sympathy. Next time, please ask me first. Don't just sulk on your own. Okay. Did you get hurt anywhere? He raised his hand, childlike, showing me his wound. My hand hurts. Let's not have a next time. Outside the door, the family doctor and the assistant excitedly embraced each other. Finally, someone can take charge of the boss. No more living in fear. A medical miracle indeed. Someone more effective than a sedative. Me. From Fu Yunchuan's family doctor. I learned that Fu Yunchuan suffers from bipolar disorder, sometimes depressive and sometimes irritable. His condition developed over the years during his upbringing. Being the eldest son, the elders in the Fu family were very strict with him from a young age. The heavy responsibilities of the family mostly fell on him, while Fu Yunjiang could choose to do anything he liked. But as the older brother, he could not. In my previous life, before I got married, Fu Yunchuan was in charge of the family's domestic business. After getting married, he went abroad to start from scratch and help expand the family's international business. Fu Yunchuan has always been alone. Learning the full story deepened my resentment toward Fu Yunjiang, wishing I could send him to prison right now. Yes, to prison. As far as I know, Fu Yunjiang has been involved in numerous illegal activities. If I could get the evidence, I could definitely ruin him completely. But this would inevitably affect the Fu family, and I don't want Fu Yunchuan to be hurt. So, I still need to ask for his opinion. During our usual evening walk after dinner, I gathered the courage to ask, Yunchuan, what would you do if one day you found out a family member was doing something wrong? He suddenly stopped, letting me look into his eyes. His indulgent gaze seemed to tell me that no matter what, he would be my strong support. Afraid that I might not understand, he gave a firm answer. Whatever you would do, I would do. The setting sun cast a beautiful glow over the sea of sunflowers. Overwhelmed by the beauty, I couldn't help but stand on my tiptoes to kiss Fu Yunchuan. The kiss was intense, and as I pressed my lips against his, he initially stiffened but then smiled slightly, turning passivity into dominance, assertive and domineering. It was a while before he let me go, his voice hoarse with desire. Sweetheart, stop tormenting me. I'm not that strong-willed. I clearly understood his meaning, burying my head in his chest coyly. Perhaps we could go to the room. He scooped me up like a hungry wolf, his breath moist in my ear. No backing out. I also made my intentions clear to him. No regrets in this lifetime. After a night of passion, when I woke up, it was already noon. Even Fu Yunchuan, who usually wakes up before 7, was still lying beside me, seeing me awake. He reached out to pull me into his arms. Are you hungry? Starved? My voice was hoarse, barely squeezing out the words. The instigator, seeing my disheveled state, actually laughed, annoyed. I kicked him a few times. Fu Yunchuan, you still dare to laugh? Tonight I'm sleeping in another room, sweetheart. It's not up to you. Indeed, even the most gentle-looking men release their wild side once they've had a taste. How did the checkup go? Remembering that he died of liver cancer in my previous life, I had him undergo a full-body checkup while eating. Fu Yunchuan put down his chopsticks. Do you think I'm not okay? His intense gaze made me feel as if saying yes would guarantee I wouldn't be able to leave the bed for days. Scared, I even dropped the food I was holding. No. Being healthy and being okay are two different things. I hope you can stay with me for a long time. All indicators are very healthy. I can satisfy you. This man changes too quickly. Just a short while ago, even holding hands made him blush for a long time. You, don't talk nonsense. After Fu Yunchuan left for the office, I drove to a bar. This bar is privately owned by Fu Yunjiang, and it contains a hidden space where he frequently conducts illegal transactions. Regrettably, I couldn't remember the exact location, otherwise, I wouldn't have agreed to meet Fu Yunjiang. Fu Yunjiang, I'm waiting for you at the entrance. Baby, I'll be right there. Laughter came through the phone, and if you listened closely, you could even hear bashful panting. It was utterly disgusting how he could hold one woman while calling another woman baby. Less than 2 minutes after hanging up, he rushed towards me with a flushed face. That was fast. Xiao, I've missed you so much. Instinctively, I took a step backward as he reached out to me. To avoid arousing his suspicion, pretending to be shy, I said, Brother Yunjiang, I missed you too. This is the proposal for Fu Yunchuan's next project. For the sake of my goals, I had to endure, baby. You're wonderful. He happily took the USB drive and casually grabbed my hand. Currently, Fu Yunchuan is the head of the Fu Corporation, while Fu Yunjiang is just a department manager, having only recently joined the company. When Fu Yunchuan first joined the company, he started from the very bottom, but Fu Yunjiang was given a high starting point by their father, yet, he was not satisfied. In the past, before he was married, he often complained to me about always living in his brother's shadow and how their parents were biased, and I, foolishly, asked my father to give him the Shin Corporation project to help him climb the corporate ladder. In this life, without the support of the Shin family, he is nothing. Thus, he harbored malicious thoughts, hoping to use me to bring down Fu Yunchuan. Foolish man, resorting only to such despicable tactics. The show has started, and no matter how difficult, I must play my part. Brother Yunjiang, I am nice to Fu Yunchuan only so you can take over the Fu family business sooner. I pushed you away last time because Fu Yunchuan was watching. ACI still needs to stay undercover to help you get the information. You wouldn't blame ACI, right? I even squeezed out a few tears after saying this. Fu Yunchuan is going abroad tomorrow for business. Can you take me here for fun? I also want to enter your circle. Excitement was unmistakable in Fu Yunjiang's eyes. He had always hinted at wanting to bring me here in his past life. I despised places like this, and I always refused. Eventually, he lost patience and forcibly brought me here to satisfy his peculiar tastes. ACI, why would a young lady come to a bar? Let's go somewhere else to have fun. Such a hypocrite, putting on a show of decency. ACI is not a child anymore. I am willing to cooperate with Brother Yunjiang. Let's come here, you disobedient little girl. I'll bring you here tomorrow. Don't be upset. That was the phrase I was waiting for. I lowered my head and pushed his hand away, not letting him see the lack of a smile on my face. I have been out for too long. Fu Yunchuan might get suspicious. I should head back. Fortunately, Fu Yunjiang cooperated and let go of my hand. ACI, can I have a kiss from you? Even at the verge of leaving, this sleazy man still wanted to disgust me. After a few uncontrollable twitches at the corner of my mouth, I forced a smile. Brother Yunjiang, it's too public here, and you know I'm shy. Wait to have your way tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'll be waiting for you. The first thing I did when I got home was wash my hands. Dirty, it was really filthy, so I increased my effort, completely ignoring my hands that had started to bleed, until someone knocked on the bathroom door. Xiao Guai, what are you doing in there? It was Fu Yunchuan. I hadn't expected him to come home so early today. What should I do? Fu Yunchuan is so thoughtful. He will definitely be worried about me. The urgent knocking sounded again. If I didn't go out now, the door would probably not hold. It's okay, I'll be right out. Fortunately, the wound wasn't big. As long as it wasn't visible, it wouldn't be noticed. But Fu Yunchuan knows me too well. He always notices when something is off and manages to pinpoint the issue. He gently held my hand, blowing on it softly. It seemed like he thought this method could lessen my pain, and indeed, it did help. Did he do this? I knew it. Fu Yunchuan must have known that I went to see that person, which is why he came home right after me. I lowered my head, unable to meet his eyes. No, I did it myself. Fu Yunchuan took a deep breath and continued to blow on my hand. I cautiously looked up, trying to read the expression on his face. Aren't you going to ask why I went to see him? A smile flickered in his eyes. Because I trust you. I hope you can rely on me. Tell me what happened, and let me share the burden. Hearing the word rely, I could no longer hold back, and tears burst forth like a flood. Ever since my rebirth, I had been on edge, afraid of repeating past mistakes, afraid to show my vulnerability, afraid of being abandoned again. Each time, it was Fu Yunchuan who, when I was on the brink of an abyss, would tell me, hold on to me, I'll get you out. I told Fu Yunchuan everything about my rebirth, my marriage to Fu Yunjiang, and the near assault. I had thought before not to disclose the disgraceful incidents, worried he might despise me, but now, I just wanted Fu Yunchuan to accept all of me, good and bad, knowing he could embrace it all. After listening, Fu Yunchuan comforted me to stop crying while his own eyes turned red. I'm sorry, I should have been braver, confessed to you earlier, and prevented your hurt. I gently wiped away his tears with my fingertips. Thank God for giving me a second chance, allowing us not to miss out on each other again. Something seemed to dawn on Fu Yunchuan, his gaze turning murderous. It's time to clean house. I won't hinder your plans, but you must follow my arrangements, as you command. The next day, I kept my appointment punctually, wearing the boldest makeup and the thickest clothes. Fu Yunchuan wouldn't let me wear a skirt and even put a jacket on me, so much so that when Fu Yunjiang saw me, he was baffled. A CI, are you cold? I forced a smile. I have a cold, afraid of the cold. Disdain flickered in Fu Yunjiang's eyes. Who comes to a bar in a white t-shirt and jeans? It's okay, it'll be warm inside. He was already eager, wrapping his arm around my waist and leading me into the bar. Following Fu Yunjiang through 3 long corridors, until we reached a wall, he pressed hard on a dragon-shaped fixture on the wall. A door appeared out of nowhere. It was clear that he had put a lot of thought into constructing this hidden room. Inside the concealed space, the lighting was even more glaring than outside. Several couples sat on the sofas, openly engaging in their activities, kissing and more. The feeling of physical discomfort intensified. Guys, this is my girlfriend. Miss Shen from the Shen family, isn't she beautiful? After saying this, he handed me a glass of wine. I continued to play sick. Brother Yunjiang, I took some antibiotics. I can't drink alcohol. Before coming here, Fu Yunjiang repeatedly reminded me not to touch anything, especially food and drinks. Unrelenting, Fu Yunjiang suggested, then have some juice. To avoid arousing his suspicion, I reluctantly accepted it. Then I changed the subject. They look so happy. I want to be happy too. Fu Yunjiang pointed to the drink in my hand. Drink this, and I'll tell you how. He was indirectly forcing me to drink, and I knew without a doubt that something had been added to it. What if I don't drink it? I swirled the juice, feigning innocence. Fu Yunjiang, undeterred and with a sleazy expression, said, then let's get started. After pushing me onto the sofa with force, he hurriedly began to unbuckle his belt, while the onlookers cheered him on. Master Fu. Miss Shen clearly needs some disciplining. Let the brothers witness Master Fu's prowess today. Their comments became increasingly explicit, and Fu Yunjiang was visibly excited by the provocation. I watched as if it were just a spectacle, not frightened at all, because my police best friend and Fu Yunjiang were already waiting outside the door. Just then, as if on cue, there was a roar. Damn it, how dare you touch my woman? The man who was on top of me was kicked into the corner. After a few more punches, Fu Yunjiang was left unable to move. Once again, it was my best friend who first came to my rescue. Fu Yunjiang rushed in, headed straight for me on the sofa, scooped me up, and pressed me tightly against his chest. Shen Ci, you did that on purpose, didn't you? Yes, I love seeing you go crazy for me. Actually, when we found this hidden room, I could have signaled to wrap things up, but I deliberately delayed to make Fu Yunjiang anxious. Bai Yuyu's brows were furrowed. Hey, you two can be affectionate back at home. Thank you, Yuyu. Thank me by giving me a godson or goddaughter soon. I want to raise them from a young age, train them. The peaceful scene was interrupted by groans from the corner. Fu Yunjiang, disappointed like a parent with an unfulfilling child, added 2 more kicks. You've completely tarnished the Fu family's reputation, focusing on these shady businesses instead of the Fu Corporation. And don't think I don't know about your financial dealings with other companies. I've already handed over the evidence of your bribery and tax evasion to the police. Just wait for your imprisonment. Fu Yunjiang struggled to lift his head. Dad will help me. What a joke. I knew his parents from the Fu family, who were strict and honorable, would never help him. He was a cancer to the family, and it was already merciful that they hadn't cut him off sooner. Fu Yunjiang, with a frosty face, relayed a message from his father. You are no longer a member of the Fu family. Fu Yunjiang tried to argue further, but Bai Yuyu, annoyed by the noise, had him dragged away. The ending I had long hoped for was finally realized. And the heavy stone in my heart was lifted. All the happiness seemed surreal. Fortunately, I have a husband who understands my love-struck mind, and he can turn the unreal into reality. Honey, what's our next mission? Organize a wedding and then have a baby. The wedding arrived as scheduled. Before the wedding day, Fu Yunchuan had been keeping secrets and didn't reveal any details to me. Finally, the day arrived. I held my father's hand, waiting for the entrance gate to slowly open. The wedding march began to play. The venue was decorated entirely with sunflowers, as beautiful as an oil painting. Seeing the scene, identical to one from a past life, I instantly understood that Fu Yunchuan had personally arranged my previous wedding as well. Tears inevitably started to fall. It was my fault for being so oblivious. I was constantly surrounded by his love yet never truly perceived it. At the wedding speech, Fu Yunchuan looked at me with adoring eyes and loudly exclaimed, "Wife, I hope your life is peaceful and smooth, and I want the whole world to hear it." His childish behavior successfully made me laugh. Bow your head, I only want you to hear this. Fu Yunchuan obediently bent down, then you must live well. Extra story. 1. The patient's breathing and heartbeat have been restored. I groggily opened my eyes to a bright light. When I opened my eyes again, excited voices filled the large hospital room. President Fu, you're awake. The doctors were lying. They said you had no will to live, that you might not wake up. Wang Yang, always so dramatic, having spent a lot of time with Shen Ci, I had grown to enjoy this kind of liveliness. Where's my wife? For some reason, Wang Yang's bright smile vanished instantly, and he looked down, avoiding my gaze. After a moment of silence, he spoke in a very soft voice, President Fu, you are not married. What nonsense is this child talking about? If I weren't in such poor health, I would give him a good beating. How can you forget your wife, Shen Ci? Wang Yang quickly looked up to check my emotional state, then looked down again. You've forgotten again. Miss Shen passed away from liver cancer a year ago. You attended her funeral. You're talking nonsense. I just married her. My voice grew quieter, eventually turning into a murmur. Just now, she was whispering in my ear, telling me to live well. President Fu, please, don't get agitated. I'll call the doctor. I murmured softly, how can this be? She has just married me. But while I vehemently denied it, I was also gradually coming to terms with reality. 2. After being discharged from the hospital, I went to the prison to visit someone. Brother, I know I was wrong. The person in front of me cried profusely, yet their face showed no sign of regret. A year ago, after hearing of Shen Ci's death, I thought Fu Yunjiang was joking. After rushing back to the country overnight, I saw Shen Ci at the memorial service. Fu Yunjiang's expression was the same as now, feigning regret. That night, after catching Fu Yunjiang bringing another woman home, it didn't seem like his first time. After I hit him, he provocatively said, that woman doesn't care about me anymore, she's a ghost now and cares even less. I realized that Shen Ci hadn't had a happy marriage. From Bai Yuyu, I also learned that Fu Yunjiang, that scoundrel, treated Shen Ci as a plaything and passed her around to others. As I couldn't find evidence to convict him, the matter was unresolved. After hearing all this, I felt my blood freeze, and I was beyond tears. She was supposed to be the sun, how could she be so scarred? The person I held dear, he failed to cherish her. Leaving him in society would only cause harm, and it was time I cleaned house for the Fu family. Over 6 months, I gradually took control of the domestic businesses, collecting evidence of Fu Yunjiang's counterfeit goods and bribery, evidence of tax evasion. All of it was finally handed over to Bai Yuyu. No, you don't understand. Shen Ci will never come back. If it hadn't been for you, she wouldn't have died. I will not easily let go of anyone who has hurt Shen Ci. Before I left, I gave him a piece of news. You will spend the rest of your life inside, repenting. 3. It was evening, and I returned to the sunflower field. I sat where Shen Ci had sat in my dreams, reminiscing about the past. I met 10-year-old Shen Ci at the hospital when I was 15. The first time I saw her, I was sitting on a bench, daydreaming. A little girl holding a bouquet of sunflowers suddenly fell heavily in front of me. I moved my feet away in distaste and coldly watched as she picked herself up from the ground. After she stood up, she put her hands on her hips. Why didn't you help me up? I don't like physical contact, and ignored her. Moving to another spot to sit, the little girl followed me relentlessly. You're sick, aren't you? That's why you don't have the strength. What a fool, making excuses for others. Then I'll give you a bouquet of sunflowers. Get well soon. I was just here to play. I wasn't sick. Seeing that I didn't accept them, she wasn't upset, and left the bouquet on the chair next to me before running off. The next day, I was sitting in the usual spot and saw that girl again, still smiling as she gave me a bouquet of sunflowers. From the 3rd day on, I actually started looking forward to seeing her. After a long wait, I thought she wouldn't come again. Just as I was about to leave, she asked, Brother, are you feeling better? I nodded, looking at the sunflowers in her hand. She immediately understood and handed me a bouquet. Get well soon. For the next month, I was there every day waiting for her. As long as it didn't rain, she would come, but then she stopped coming. After inquiring at the hospital, I learned that the girl who brought sunflowers to the hospital every day was Shen Ci, the daughter of Uncle Shen. Fortunately, our families were on good terms, so there would definitely be a chance to meet again. Young love grew wildly. I wanted to see her but was also afraid she'd be scared. I only watched her from a distance. Finally, when she grew up, under my encouragement, our parents decided on a marriage alliance with the Shen family. But why did she fall for Fu Yunjiang? We were the ones who met first. My heart sank into an icy cellar. I so wanted to tell her that I loved her. but seeing the happy smile on her face, I knew it was time to step back. I took on the task of preparing Fu Yunjiang's wedding. Perhaps this would give me brief comfort. Fantasizing that she was marrying me. Before going abroad, I secretly took a photo of Shenxi's smile for the last time, capturing her happiest moment forever. In a daze, I saw Shenxi smiling again. I'm sorry I couldn't come back sooner. As I reached out to embrace her, her shadow disappeared. Suddenly, a gust of wind entered my embrace, spreading warmth throughout my body. I murmured in a trance, "Is that you?" As the wind blew past my ears, I seemed to hear Shenxi's voice. "Thank you for everything you've done for me." Epilogue. The first meeting was a fleeting glance. The encounter was like spring to withered wood. The reunion was unexpected. Each day spent making up for regrets was a countdown to the end. In the end, it was all but a dream, and upon waking, you were no longer in this world. Do you regret it, you timid secret admirer?